Hey, this is Matt and welcome to this walkthrough of all the special vehicles in GTA Vice City. So we start where else? At the very beginning of the game, just like we did in the GTA 3 walkthrough. So if you remember, we had the teal Kuruma, the specially coloured Kuruma, in that video. And it seems like Rockstar were just big fans of putting special vehicles in the very first missions on their games. So now we're back at the start of Vice City to pick up the White Admiral, which is specially coloured, or uniquely coloured, however you like to say it. But it seems like Rockstar were being mean to us this time around because, unlike GTA 3, we don't actually have a garage at this point in the game, so we have to do a little bit of work in order to save it. If you remember on GTA 3, you get a garage right at the start of the game with the very first safe house on Portland. But here, we only get the Ocean View Hotel, and it does not have a garage or a parking space or anything like that whatsoever. So the first thing we're going to be doing on this game is actually getting enough money for us to buy our first proper safe house with a garage. So, at this point in the game, just carry on with the first mission, if you can call it a mission. There's not really much to it. All you do is drive to the hotel, you go upstairs, you get a phone call from Sonny, and then you can come back down the stairs and be on your way. So the first thing we're going to do, as I said, was just earn ourselves a little bit of cash. The best way to do that is to utilise what speedrunners actually used to do a few years ago, which is do the side mission called Comb Crazy. Now there are of course lots of other ways to make money, but this is what I find to be the fastest. What speedrunners used to do is do this side mission many times so they could afford to buy all the assets needed to complete the game later on. But here, we're just going to be using it to buy our safe houses. Of course it helps to buy all the assets as well. As you play through the game you'll be earning a lot of money from missions as well, and whatever else you decide to do. So what you do is you come to the top of this parking lot. Now it's quite easy to tell where this parking lot is because it has like this sort of green plants or green ivy or whatever you want to call it hanging down off the side, so it's actually quite a noticeable building. And it's located just a couple of blocks away from where the Ocean View Hotel is. So you come up to the top level, you park your Admiral, leave the door open. We don't want it to disappear, just in case, although we won't be leaving the vicinity really. Get in the Stallion and then start Comb Crazy. Comb Crazy is an interesting side mission, to be honest. It's not really like any other side mission that I've encountered on the game, or indeed in GTA in general. What you have to do is avoid the cones, at least avoid breaking the cones. You can crash into them, as long as you don't break them you won't fail. And go through all the markers, or the checkpoints, whatever you like to call them. But what's special about it is that every time you beat your previous record, your prize money doubles. So you can earn yourself a lot of money just by doing this a few times. So as you can see, what I did there was purposefully try to get the worst time possible and still pass the mission. Doing this enables you to be able to beat your previous record a whole load of times, making it really easy to get loads and loads of cash. When you're finished, just park your Stallion back where it was, jump in, out, and if you've parked it in the right spot, as you can see I didn't there, at first at least, and then you can go on your way again. So I won't show you all the runs of Comb Crazy here, and it's up to you however much you'd like to earn. The cheapest safe house on the game is $6,000 and it's the Lynx View apartment. Though I recommend saving up enough money to buy multiple safe houses, it just saves us doing that later in the game. And there's a few vehicles that we want to get quite early in the game, so those garage spots are going to be quite valuable to us. So again, we're just waiting, we're not rushing this mission. Just waiting for the timer to tick down. Don't forget what your previous record is, by the way. You don't want to do it all only to fail to beat your previous record and have to do it all over again. So as you can see, I got $400 there. The first time, if you remember, I got $200. So that's doubled, and next time it would double to $800. So I've skipped ahead here. It's now later in the day in the game, that is. I wasn't doing this mission all day, you know, we've got other cars to achieve. We can't be doing this all day. So, just get enough money. You don't need to get loads and loads, even though I've actually done that here, just to show you how much money can easily be achieved. As you can see, I'm still not rushing, I'm still not playing to my best, and I still got $102,000 this time. And as you can see, my total money in the top right hand corner is now over $200,000, making me a very rich man at the very start of the game. So when you're happy with the amount of money you've achieved, go and get back into your Admiral, and then head back down where we came from. It's time to go and buy our first safe house. Now I'd recommend going down here. It's also located in the Ocean Beach area. I'm trying to remember what this safe house is called. I think it's the Ocean View apartment. Let's see when I walk into the property marker. Ocean Heights apartment, close. It's $7,000, so it's the second cheapest safe house on the game, at least safe house with a garage. I don't tend to count the safe houses that don't have garages. I don't usually buy them. I think the only reason to buy them is if you wanted to just achieve 100% completion. I tend not to personally, it's up to you. There's so many spots where you can save the game. You don't really need all of them, to be honest. I'm not sure why Rockstar put them all in. So, just pop your Admiral in the garage there. You can park it however you like, and then we carry on. Now, we're just going to stop with Back Alley Brawl a minute. There's no special vehicle to obtain on this mission, but I need to mention it for one of the vehicles we're going to be obtaining quite soon. So, as I said, there's no special vehicle to obtain here, but what you do get is a phone. Now, a phone is going to be very important to you for progressing the storyline and unlocking new missions. Some phone calls you get, mainly like the ones from Sunny, don't actually progress the storyline. I think Rockstar put them in there just to remind you that Sunny is there, you know, he's in the picture. And he's going to be visiting you at the end of the game, spoiler alert. But you also get phone calls that do progress the storyline. So, to achieve one of the special vehicles we're going to get later, you'll need to only answer the phone calls that unlock new missions. Just forget about the rest. Anyway, so we move on. Now it's time to get the Spandex Press. It's available from 2 missions. We're going to get the one from Jury Fury, as it's a lot easier than getting the one from the mission Riot, which actually comes after this. I didn't show both in this video, because there's no real point getting 2 of the same car, although it is available in different colour schemes. As you'll see later, there's only one safe house on the Eastern Island, which is where we are now, that can actually fit the Spandex Press inside it. So, just start the mission as normal, and head north past the Malibu Club, and go for the Sentinel first. Now what you can do is you can go and collect a gun if you like. You don't have to use a melee weapon for this. I'm using the hammer here, as I'm just playing the game as Rockstar intended me to, but you can go and pick up a gun. For example, there's a shotgun in the park near Ocean Beach, quite near the bike, the PCJ where you start PCJ Playground. So if you want, you can just go and collect that, and it makes the mission a lot quicker. But of course we're not rushing here, we're taking our time, we're making sure we get all the vehicles we want to. So you head back down here, you smash that guy in the back of the head with a hammer. He runs in his car, he has a crash, and the Spandex Press is now in view. Now don't worry, although it has a driver in, it will never drive off. It'll still be there after you finish the mission. So just go ahead and smash up this guy's car in however manner you like. Smash up any pedestrians that might get in the way, or let them go. It's up to you. Just carry on with the mission, do your thing, you know, we're just going about our business here.
Giorgio? You remember he's innocent?
And there we go, we've intimidated the witness. We're done with this mission now. And all that remains is to pick up the Spandex Press, which is still waiting for you there, very conveniently. And now all that remains is to take it to our garage. Now I'm actually going to go to the garage where we just stored our Admiral. This is because, as I mentioned before, there's only one safe house or garage on the game, well, at least on this island that we have access to right now, where we can store our Spandex Press. And it's this one here, because it's tall enough to actually fit it inside. All the other garages on this island are shorter and therefore can't fit the Spandex Press inside them. At least not easily. So just push it in there, make sure you get a good angle on it, otherwise whenever the garage door opens it will damage your Spandex Press, so if you wanted to take it out and go for a drive, it will always be knackered and you'd have to take it to pay and spray in order to fix it. So now we're going to restore our Admiral. It's up to you, whatever way you want to buy your safe houses, whatever order you want to do them in. I've come up and bought the Lynx View apartment here, which is $6,000, the cheapest on the game. At least the cheapest safe house with a garage anyway. So we come up here, we buy it, it's located right near the golf course, as referenced with the name, Lynx View. So, you get a one-car garage, but you can also store a bike in it as well. You can store a car and a bike, or two bikes, or to be honest, you could probably store more than two bikes in here. But for now, we're just going to pop our Admiral back inside. We don't want to lose it. So now we have acquired our first two cars in the game. As I mentioned before, the Spandex Press comes in, I think, 5 or 6 different colour schemes. Just pick the one that you like best. Unfortunately, we can't obtain more than one because there's no room in our garages right now. And the garages are largely not tall enough to be able to store this. Choose whichever colour you like. Remember, you can take it out, take it to pay and spray, come back, change it up, mix it up, make it fresh. Whatever you want to do in time if you get bored of the same colour scheme. I think my personal favourite here is the light sandy colour, though to be honest all of them are reasonably similar. They're all kind of dark, murky colour schemes with the exception of that light sandy colour. So now it's time to move on. We're going to acquire Avery Carrington's Black Stretch, which is again another special colour or a unique colour. Our journey actually begins before we begin the mission. It actually begins before we start the previous mission, in fact. The first thing that you're going to need to do is go and get yourself a police car. You can go to either of the police stations on the Eastern Island. I went to the one that's located near our safe house where we just saved. And I'm also going to go over and buy the El Suenco Casa, which is located very close to our Lynx View apartment as well. After I buy this safe house, I believe I drive back down past the safe house where we just were, so you can see exactly where it is. The reason we want to buy this safe house, of course, is so we've got more space to store cars, namely the UC Black Stretch we're about to obtain. So here we go, we come back down past Pay and Spray on the right and past the Lynx View apartment where we just were. Come back down to Ken Rosenberg's office. Obviously we're more than accustomed to this place now. We've been here many times. And we start the mission Riot. The reason I'm showing you this is because after you complete this mission, it unlocks a phone call. And we're going to need that phone call to get the Black Stretch. I know that might sound weird at the moment, but trust me, all will be explained after. But the first thing you need to focus on is getting through this mission. Now what you're meant to do is you're meant to start a fight with numerous workers here, but we're not going to do that. We're going to borrow another tactic that speedrunners used to use, because this mission, it's not that important to us. We just need to get through it. There's no special car on this mission. We don't need to spend longer than we absolutely have to on it. So I went and picked up a shotgun, And what you can do is, instead of fighting with all these guys, you can just go straight to the back. Don't use auto aim like I did there, use manual aim and just shoot the 2 Spandex Press vans. These are the other ones, of course, that can be obtained from this mission, but it's harder to do so by getting the one from Jury Fury that we did before, which is why I didn't bother to show both. And there we go, we finished the mission already. Not how Rockstar intended us to do it, but at this point we just need to get through it. You know, we don't want to be messing about, taking our time on missions that don't matter to us right now. So anyway, come back up to the Lynxview apartment, and we're going to do a very specific thing here, so do pay attention. So what I'm doing here is, I'm parking the police car next to the save icon. We want the driver's side door to be adjacent to the save icon. So just park it up, take your time. It's a little bit hard to tell. Now what we're going to do is press R3 to start Vigilante, then press and hold R3 again, and then get out of our vehicle, run away from the car, and then release R3 to cancel Vigilante. Now what we're going to do is press triangle to run towards the car, and then immediately hold R3, then let go of R3 just when Tommy closes the door. If you've done this right, you'll be on a Vigilante mission, but all the icons like the save icon and the mission marker on the map will still be there. So what we've actually done here is we've tricked the game into thinking we're not on a mission, when in fact we are. And what that means is we can go and pick up another mission. So we'll be doing 2 missions at the same time. And that's exactly what we're going to do. We're just going to go round the corner here, and we're going to pick up this rampage. Obviously you'll need your phone not to ring. You can do that by getting back in your car and getting out straight away. That cancels the phone call. So now we're on Vigilante and Rampage at the same time. Again, I know this is a little tricky, so go back, watch what I did at the safe house again if you need to. It can take a few tries to do this yourself if you've never done it before. Don't worry, I was exactly the same. It took me a few tries, but I got there eventually. So go ahead and cancel Vigilante. You don't have to cancel it here. You can cancel it any time after you've picked up the Rampage. Now you can get out and go towards the pink marker. Obviously it's not there right now because the game knows that our phone call is ringing. And it won't let us pick up another mission while our phone call is ringing. What you want to do is answer your phone call and let the Rampage expire while you're on your phone call. So I answered my phone with about 15 seconds of my Rampage left to go. So we're just waiting for our Rampage to run out now. And that will mean that the game no longer thinks we're on a mission, and the pink marker will come back. So you need to walk in this pink marker at the exact moment that the Colonel says the word A. And what will happen is, that will allow us to pick up 2 of the same mission at the same time. Because the phone call ends and we're still stood in that pink marker, so we immediately pick up a second instance of that mission. And if you've done it right, 2 stretches will appear instead of 1, which you saw there. And what will happen is, one will despawn like usual, but the other one will still be here, allowing us to take this car out of the cutscene. So all that remains now is to either complete or fail the mission. I recommend failing it, just to be on the safe side. I haven't tried completing it, but I believe it would work. But I recommend, for safety, that you just follow what I'm doing here, because I've tried this, I know it works. So all you gotta do is just continue with the mission, basically. Okay, what we want to do next is come up to the golf course, the Leaf Links golf course. What we're going to do is just park our stretch up, just so it's a bit out of the way. Just park it where I have, leave the door open of course, and then go ahead and enter the pink marker. you'll get the cutscene, and of course everything will be duplicated. The guys and the golf caddies, because of course we've started the same mission twice. So we've got 2 instances of this mission running at exactly the same time. I like to get in and out of the stretch there. You might not need to do that, but obviously don't want to risk it disappearing. So what you need to do now is just run across this little bridge here. Just go towards the yellow marker on your map. Of course there are health and armor pickups on the golf course, so if you're running short of either health or armor, you can pick them up at this point. It's pretty convenient to do so. Of course, you can see multiple golf caddies there. And now, what we need to do is just get the guys' attention. I tried to do it from down here. Unfortunately, you can't. You have to go upstairs. Once you've been spotted, you can go ahead and run off. It's completely up to you whether you want to pass or fail the mission. I'm choosing to fail it just because if the stretch disappears, I don't want to have passed the mission only to get back to the front of the Leaf Links golf course only to find that my stretch is no longer there. And of course I'd have to load the game and try again. So we just come back. Remember to collect any guns that you might have at this point in the game. There's his getaway car. So all we do is we jump in our stretch and we head for the El Swanko Casa. And just head over to the El Swanko Casa. The one we just bought, of course. Now all that remains to do is just wait here outside the garage or wherever you like, and after a while the mission will fail. Now I cut a lot out from my video here. It will actually take a lot longer than it seems to in my video. I just wanted to cut it out, obviously, to keep the video as short as possible, which is ironic because it ended up being very long, over 3 hours in fact. So it will take longer for you, so don't worry, basically, if it takes longer for the mission to fail than it did here on my video, because it almost certainly will. So there we go, we have this black stretch now. So now it's time to move on and get the first proper proofed car in the game. This is the all proof, so that's Bulletproof, Fireproof, Explosionproof and Damageproof Admiral. And it's also specially coloured. And it's of course from the mission Guardian Angels. This is probably in fact one of the most famous proof cars in the whole of Vice City. Mainly because it's actually so easy to get, at least on the PS2 version. I'll put a separate method for the PC version and the mobile version in the video's description, so if you're playing on either of those, then I recommend checking that. I'm going to show the PS2 method here just because it's so much easier, and you'll see why at the very end of the video. But for now, start the mission, just play along, do everything you need to do. In fact, what we're going to do to achieve this car is actually complete the mission, so we won't need to do anything other than what the game designers intended us to do. So I won't show you all the mission here. If you've played the game before, I presume you know how it goes. Basically, a load of Haitians turn up, you kill them all, don't let anybody live, and once you're finished, 2 guys on Sanchez's will come past, they will steal the money, which is that briefcase on the ground that you can't pick up. Once you're all done killing the Haitians, 2 more will show up on Sanchez's. They will steal the money that's in the briefcase here that we couldn't pick up. They will ride off, one of them will get shot, but the other one, the one with the money unfortunately, will keep going. So what you need to do here is just get on the bike. There is a tactic here where you see speedrunners shoot the guy from far away, but you know, we're on the PS2 here, we're unlikely to have good aiming skills with the PS2 controls. So what we do is, we just chase after him, we either shoot him off or we wait for him to fall off himself, as he did there. We steal the money, and we take it back to Diaz. So, depending on how quick you were to kill the guy on the Sanchez, you may or may not have a long ride back. As you can see, there's that guy still on the floor there, still in riding bike suppose. And what also is weird at this point is that the car is almost on hydraulics, which is very strange. As you can see, when you enter into the pink marker, the car drops down. And there we go, just let the cutscene play out. So once we come around here, you go around the corner, and as you can see, the Admiral is just sitting there waiting for you. With the doors unlocked and everything. It's ridiculous, really. It's brilliant though for us, you know, makes it very easy to obtain. I drove into that tree on purpose, by the way, genuinely, just to show you that it is in fact damageproof. Okay, so I'll just show you some of its proofing abilities. We've already seen that it is in fact damageproof, so is immune to crashes. So I'll just prove that a bit more by using a melee weapon, such as the chainsaw. As you can see, it took no damage whatsoever. So now we'll move on and show you that it's bulletproof as well. Unfortunately, at this stage in the game, I didn't actually have access to all the weapons needed to show you that it's explosion-proof and fireproof. But if you get it yourself, you can in fact test it. Believe me, you know, it's a well-known vehicle, proof vehicle, should I say, on the game. You can look it up if you like. And here it is, just for comparison's sake. Here it is next to the white Admiral that we obtained earlier. So the one on the left here that I'm jumping on is the grey one we've just obtained, and the white one is the one that I've just pulled out the garage. As you can see, they're similar but not identical. So we'll just park this one back into our garage where it was before, if you remember. Keep it safely locked up there. Then we'll get in our grey Admiral and take it to another garage. Now, unfortunately, we have already reached capacity in terms of the garage spaces on this island. Just showing you that it's damage-proof once more there. And so, unfortunately, you're going to have to make a choice as to which cars you'd like to obtain. Don't forget, you can do multiple save datas to achieve them all. So, for example, you can have one save data with the black stretch and then another one with this one in the El Swanko Casa. Okay, so now it's time to get serious. Possibly the most difficult vehicle to obtain on the game. It's either this one or one more, which we'll get to later. I won't spoil it yet. This is the all-proof Maverick, so we're talking damage-proof, bulletproof, fireproof, explosion-proof, everything. Okay. So there's a bit of prep to do with this one. The first thing you saw me do there was to buy the Links View apartment. It's just a reminder to say that if you haven't already bought it, then you need to buy it for this to succeed. Also, come to Prawn Island. Ignore your phone call, again, if you get one, like me. This is what we needed the phone calls for from before. So, and what you saw me do there is, of course, glitch through the bridge. It's something you often see with speedrunners. Particularly back in the day. Just follow what I did there and you'll go right through the wall. So yeah, the phone calls. If you remember with Back Alley Brawl before, what I said was only answer the phone when you absolutely have to. So for example, to unlock the next mission. There are some phone calls, like the one you get from Sunny, or ones you get from Sunny should I say. It's probably more than one. That don't actually unlock any new missions. All they do is just give you a reminder that Sunny is there and that he's coming for you. Okay, so once you're across the bridge, essentially just follow what I did to get here. Run where you can. If you find yourself getting stuck, just keep jumping. You'll get there eventually. So then what you need to do is go and grab the Bcm Maverick. It's located right near where we came across the bridge. So the whole point of going to the Western Island is to get some grenades. Now, if you're playing the PC version of the game, you won't actually need to do this. That's because you can get grenades on the PC version from Washington Beach Police Station. However, on the PS2 version, it's smoke grenades. So unfortunately that means that us PS2 users have to make this trip. But never mind. The next thing you'll need to do is collect 80 secret packages. Yep. I know, that sounds like a big task, but as I've shown you, you can access the Western Island early. Now the point of this is to unlock the Sea Sparrow at the Vassetti estate. It's quite funny actually, because obviously it's still owned by Diaz at this point, so it's not actually the Vassetti estate, and yet your helicopter is parked right outside it. And the last thing you'll need to do is buy the Hyneman Condo. So this is a safe house on the Western Island towards the north of the map, located near the Hyneman Stadium, Hyneman Memorial Stadium should I say. So go ahead and purchase it. It's $14,000 and for this money you get access to 3 garages. First one can store 4 vehicles if my memory serves me correctly, and the other garages can store 2 cars each. So the last thing you'll need is a police car. We're just going to do what we did before with the save icon. So park up, press R3 to start Vigilante, then press and hold R3, get out of the car, run away, and release R3. Now press triangle to run towards the car, immediately hold R3, and let it go when Tommy closes the door. Whew, got all that? Well, if you've done it right, like before, all the icons will still be on the mini-map, down to your bottom left. So instead of picking up the rampage, what we're going to do is we're going to come over here, throw a grenade, which gets us down to 17 HP. Doesn't matter if it's not exactly 17 that you get, you just need to be on low health. Get back in the cop car and drive over to Diaz's mansion. Once you get there, just park up. You can get in and out of your car if you like. Stop the phone ringing, don't answer it. Now what I like to do here is jump off the balcony a few times to get my HP down to a really low level. So what I usually aim for is about 7 HP. It's up to you whether you want to go for something around this. To be honest, you shouldn't need to really get it this low. I just do it for safety, essentially, because I don't want to have to do this all over again, because the next bit is quite tricky, to be honest. Okay, so what we want to do, get back in the car, get out of the car, then press and hold your phone key, so L1 on the PS2 version. Just waiting for it to ring. So press and hold L1, get back in the car, cancel Vigilante, get out, and then release L1. If you've done it right, Tommy will have answered the phone, and you'll be allowed to step into the pink marker. So essentially, again, it's like picking up 2 missions at the same time, or at least consecutively. So what we need to do at this point is just let the cutscene play out until the phone dialogue finishes. If you stepped into the mission marker pretty much when I did, the line I wait for Diaz to say, or at least the word, is business. There we go. So I usually skip it at that point because I'm pretty confident that the phone call will have finished at that point. So now, this is where it gets slightly tricky. Skip the next cutscene with Lance, and what we're going to do is throw a grenade immediately, so start mashing the circle button now, throw a grenade, then walk forward a little bit. I like to throw 2 grenades here and walk forward after both of them, just to play it safe. And if you've done it right, you will be wasted. Which sounds weird, but it isn't. It's exactly what we want to do. So when you get out of the hospital, just jump in the taxi, because we need to get back over to Diaz's mansion as quick as possible. So just enjoy the journey. Then we need to head towards the Sea Sparrow. You'll notice that the lines said by Lance and Tommy sort of work interchangeably with the phone call rings. Essentially, it's quite easy to soft lock the dialogue at this point. So what I like to do is get in the helicopter at a point where Lance is in mid-speech. Usually when he says, okay, we're almost there. So if you've done it right, the rest of the dialogue should play out without too much of an issue. As I said, it can soft lock here, so you can get stuck at a particular bit of the dialogue and it won't actually finish. If that happens, I recommend just restarting the mission, unfortunately. So you'll pass the helicopter there. It will catch up with us after. What we're actually doing here is just heading over to Prawn Island. So while we're flying over there, I just want to take this opportunity to say thanks to Nikolai for the method. I'll be thanking all the people who have contributed to this video in one way or another in the video description, so be sure to check them all out there. Cool, so what we need to do next is get the guys, the enemies that is, you know, the gang members that you're supposed to kill on this mission. Yeah, we need those guys to spawn, which is a little tricky in my experience. Something I like to try is just letting my phone call ring out, so not answering it, but just letting the game get bored of trying to get us to answer the phone call. It will ring off eventually. And when that happens, get back in my helicopter and essentially just fly around for a little bit, flying over the film studio and then coming back towards the first checkpoint. So just do this as many times as necessary. Eventually the guys will spawn, or the helicopter will catch you up. Maybe someone can explain this better to me, to be honest. I don't know exactly what makes the enemies start spawning or the helicopter catch up with us. With me, it's a little bit of trial and error. So here we go, you can see the helicopter coming up on the left there. So for some reason, sometimes the first checkpoint will skip and he moves on to the second one straight away. If that happens, doesn't really matter. So what we're essentially going to do here is we're going to follow Lance to each checkpoint. We're going to kill all the guys and then we're going to move on. To get the enemies to spawn, you practically need to touch the actual helicopter, or at least go very near it. When you do that, the enemies should spawn. Now press and hold R1. You don't have to hold, but you can for continuous fire. What you want to do is just kill all the enemies before they damage the actual helicopter too much, as well as your own, of course. You don't want to explode your helicopter either. And once they're all dead, just go ahead, catch up with Lance once again. Can be a little tricky to make him move on, but just be persistent with it. You can even crash into him if you like, but be gentle. You don't want that heli health going down too much. Don't fly into the tree there. That's not part of the method. That was just me being rubbish. So leave that out. And again, just kill all the guys. All the guys on screen, just get rid of them all. To be honest, you don't need to make any kind of erratic movements with the helicopter. The gun is pretty good at auto-aiming, so just aim generally near one of the guys and it should hit them. You can also kill them by flying down and hitting them with your rotor blades as well, but you might damage your helicopter that way, so it's quite risky. I recommend shooting them if you can. So again, just the same thing here, flying over towards Lance, getting incredibly near his helicopter, even touching it if you can. Doesn't really matter either way, you just got to get him to move on. Take down all these guys, shoot those red explosive barrels if you want to get to them quickly. Lance will usually move on to the next checkpoint quite fast after you've dispatched all those guys. Now, okay, this is where we need to pay attention. Kill every guy but one here. I like to leave the guy on the steps to the right, because I'm going to land my helicopter right near him. When you've killed them all, land the helicopter, get out, press and hold L1 to answer your phone, but don't let it go. Don't worry, I'll tell you when to let it go. Continuity error there. This was two different attempts melded together. So anyway, so you touch Lance once more, it spawns this cutscene, now let go of L1. Now what happens here is we've soft locked the cutscene. The helicopter is only all proof in this cutscene, so we need to essentially hold this. So if you've seen on my minimap, what I'm doing here is flying out to sea. I'm going to land the helicopter, then I'm going to get out and drown myself into the water while my phone call is on its first ring. If you didn't get all that, I recommend just replaying the video. I'm sorry, it happened quite fast, because generally it pretty much does when you're doing this method. Everything happens quite quickly. There's not too much time to explain everything. But if you've done it right, you'll be at the hospital, and You're on My Turf, Asshole will still be at the bottom of the screen.
Sorry, but I need
If it's moved on to You're Going Down, then unfortunately we need to restart. So get in a car as fast as possible. You'll need to find and get in a car from the hospital before the first ring of the phone call ends. Okay? To be honest, it's easier just to get in a car before your phone starts ringing at all. But either way, you should be okay. So what we need to do here is just head back over to Diaz's mansion. So on the way, I'll just recap what we did there. So we killed the last guy on the steps, if you remember, towards the right. We got out of the helicopter. We pressed and held L1. We got back in the helicopter. We flew up. We went near Lance to get him to move on to the final checkpoint. When the cutscene started, we released L1 to answer our phone call. And then using the mini-map for guidance, we flew out into the water. We landed. We got out of the helicopter. And we drowned ourselves. And we died while the first ring of the phone call was happening. It's a lot to take in, I know. This took me about 30 tries maybe to get this right. Anyway, this is important. So we get out and get back in of our car while the first phone call is ringing. Don't let it ring off. So what I'm doing here is just collecting the sniper rifle. We'll need that to get the heli. Just follow my route through the maze here and you can't go wrong. So we'll need to get back to our car within 20 seconds because it takes 20 seconds between phone calls. So for example, we did the enter-exit trick to stop our phone call from ringing past the first ring. We went and got the sniper rifle. And then we came back within 20 seconds. So you will have noticed there that I did the enter-exit trick again. Now we do this so that the phone call doesn't go past the first ring. So again, you've got 20 seconds between getting out of the Sentinel and going back to the Sea Sparrow. It shouldn't be a problem unless you're really slow. But if you've done it right up to this point, you'll still see the "You're on my turf, asshole" at the bottom of the screen. As I said before, if you see the next message, which is "You're going down," I believe, well, I have to double check that. Essentially, if you see anything other than "You're on my turf, asshole," you know that it's gone wrong, unfortunately, and you will need to restart the mission. Okay, so we're just flying back to Prawn Island. We've done this journey twice now. We should be very used to it if we weren't already. I'm sure you guys are. I'm sure you're very familiar with the layout of Vice City, just as I am, having played the game a lot of times since its release in 2002. So what we need to do here is just kill all the guys on the roof. Be careful because they will aim at you. They won't aim at Lance's heli, they will aim at you, so I recommend taking them down quickly. Now we get out of the helicopter and we get back in while the first ring of our phone is happening. Might take a couple of tries. If you've been successful again, you'll have the same message on the bottom of the screen. So we get out and we need to perform a headshot on poor Lance. Well, not poor Lance because he betrays you in the end. Spoilers. So between getting out of our helicopter, shooting Lance and getting back in our helicopter, again we can't take more than 20 seconds because the phone will ring, and if the phone gets past its first ring, then we'll have to restart this because it means that the helicopter is no longer proofed. Okay, so I'm just going to land near the Maverick. I'm going to do the enter-exit trick again to stop our phone ringing more than we want it to. Hopefully your Maverick won't have landed on its side like mine has, which made it a bit awkward to be honest. It landed right on that lamppost there. As you can see, Lance is dead with... Oh, he's still got his head to be honest. I expected him to be headless. He's not. He's still got his head, but he is in fact dead. And you might notice, of course, that the mission is still going on. Even though Lance is dead, you haven't failed. So if you've done everything right at this point again, you'll be in the helicopter. And we can now fly towards the western island. So we're going to go back to where we picked up the grenades before. Obviously we've died since then, twice if I remember right. So we've lost our grenades. We're going to do the enter-exit trick, stop our phone ringing again. And then just go and collect the grenades. Obviously again, you need to get from and back to your helicopter within 20 seconds, but it shouldn't be an issue. Pretty easy. And now what we need to do is fly up towards the Hyneman Condo, which is of course the safe house that we purchased before. So enter into the first garage, the one that you can store 4 vehicles in. It's the one to the left of the save icon. Don't worry about damaging the helicopter, it is damage proof, so no matter how many times you crash it into the wall or into the roof, it will not explode. You still need to be quite careful getting it in though, it's quite tricky. You need to practically be on the floor, but don't worry, just get it in there. Okay, once it's in, do the enter exit trick once again to stop the phone ringing past the first ring. And then hurt yourself with grenades once again, like we did before we started the mission. Go back to your helicopter. Now this bit is very important. So, what we need to do here is do the enter exit trick once again. Don't worry, this is the last time we're going to do it. So we need to make sure we've waited 20 seconds while we've been hurting ourselves with grenades. I was extra careful here. This was the first time I'd actually got to this point in the method. So I was very cautious, didn't want to go back to the start. Do the enter exit trick, then count 20 seconds. So keep counting in your head. And what we need to do is we need to inch forward. Make sure the garage is open from the furthest possible point away. Then we need to throw a grenade to kill ourselves. The garage door will shut, and if you've done it right, you will die while the phone is on its first ring. Again, I appreciate that's a lot to take in, so please do re-watch this part of the video as many times as you need to. Everything happened quite fast there again. So if you've done it right, you will fail the mission, you'll be back at the hospital, and you won't be on the mission anymore. Okay, so just to recap, what we did was, we did the enter exit trick on the helicopter. We counted 20 seconds from when our phone rung. We inched forward to the garage, so we opened it from the furthest possible point away. We threw a grenade, which when it exploded, it threw us backwards and closed the garage door. And we died while the first ring of the phone call was happening. If you've done all of that right, you will have retained the helicopter's proofing. Now we don't have to worry about the phone call anymore. I'm just using the enter exit trick there to stop it ringing because it's quite annoying. So you've seen that it's damage proof. I crashed it into a building before you there. It's quite surreal to do this, to be honest. I think this is the first damage proof helicopter that I've ever obtained. So it's quite surreal just to be crashing it into buildings and for nothing to be happening. So as you can see, it's fireproof there. The fire that you did see was a fire on the ground. As you can see, the helicopter didn't sustain any damage, so you know that it's fireproof because it's not smoking. Just going to show you that it's bulletproof. I had to sort of get all the guns that I could in a short space of time because obviously I died a couple of times, so all my weapons had been taken away by the medical staff at the hospital. Thanks for that. So as you can see, it's bulletproof. And one last check to see that it is indeed explosionproof. One of the toughest vehicles to obtain there. If you've done it, give yourself a pat on the back. So now we can relax. We move on to something a lot easier. This is the specially coloured or uniquely coloured Black Voodoo from the mission 2-Bit Hit. Another mission from Avery Carrington. You can get the black stretch from this mission again if you didn't get it on 4-iron. You can actually get it on any of Avery Carrington's missions.
Tommy, this is
So don't worry if you messed it up and you want to try again, you can do. So what we need to do here is just start the mission and then head over back to Diaz's mansion and once again go ahead and pick up the sniper rifle. You might have noticed a costume change here. Again, this is two separate versions of me trying to get the Black Voodoo. And this is also me forgetting where the sniper rifle is. This is me forgetting how to get out of the maze. At least I will come out the other exit here near the swimming pool. No, I won't, because I've turned around. I don't know what I'm doing here. Apologies. Just follow my route when we were getting the all-proof Maverick. It's a lot better than me just messing about there. Obviously, there's no time limit this time around. We're not waiting for a phone call. We're not doing anything other than just going about our business, proceeding with the mission, and making sure we have the right gun for the job. So after you've picked up the sniper rifle, just go to the pink marker on your map. If you haven't already, go and pick up the Cuban outfit. As you can see, I'm already wearing it here. Park your car up, jump on the roof here just to get a better vantage point, and go ahead and shoot the guy, the target, the Haitian bloke with your sniper rifle. It might be tricky to get it on the PS2 version, of course. We don't have the liberty of the awesome aiming controls of the PC version by comparison. So for example, we failed the mission there because we were too far away when we took the shot. That's what we want, don't worry. The reason for this is because we want to not only obtain the Black Voodoo, but we also want to obtain the Romero's Hearse as well. So if we completed the mission, we wouldn't have chance to obtain both cars. If you've not already done so, go and buy the Hyneman Condo. Of course, I bought it before to obtain the all-proof Maverick, but what I'm doing here is showing you playthroughs on different save datas. So on this save data, I haven't actually bought it yet. I'm buying it now to store the Black Voodoo and eventually the Romero's Hearse. So make sure that you've got enough garage spaces to obtain all the cars you're interested in obtaining, and if you want to obtain all the vehicles in this walkthrough, then be sure to use different save datas. That's what I recommend anyway. So there we go, we've obtained the Black Voodoo with fairly limited stress there. Now it's time to go back for the Romero's Hearse, and we're going to do exactly the same thing. Something to note about the Romero's Hearses: if you take the one on the street, it will just be a normal Romero's Hearse, which is of course a special vehicle in itself. But if we steal the one that's located by the church, and by the pizza place, this one will in fact be fireproof. So it's up to you which one you obtain, if you want to get both, or if you just want the fireproof version because essentially it's better. You get 2 for 1, you get a unique vehicle, and you also get a fireproof vehicle. But you can take both, completely up to you. Kill as many guys as you feel is necessary. We want a safe passage out of here. Any guys that you leave alive will shoot at you. So just try and get out there safely. And once again, we take it back to our garage. Store it safely in there. I like to reverse it in because it just looks nicer when you open the garage. Of course, you don't have to do this. You can do whatever you like. Makes it easier to drive it out as well. So what I'm going to do here is just take it for a little drive. There are actually 3 or possibly even 4, I've heard rumours of, versions of the Romero's Hearse. The first version has a blue coffin. There are also versions with no coffin, and also with a brown coffin as well. So here you go, you can see the brown coffin here. I have heard reports that there are 2 different brown coffins in the back, so be aware of that. And also, here's the version with no coffin in the back. Completely up to you which one you want to obtain. Of course, if you have room in your garages, you can obtain all 4. Personally, I recommend just keeping one, because you want to save up those valuable garage spaces for the other cars. Now, if you want to obtain the fireproof version, which is located next to the pizza place, I'd recommend a slightly different vantage point, because it can be tough to get in and kill all the guys necessary for a safe passage out of there. So just stand on your car once again to get a good vantage point. Kill all the Haitians that you possibly can, And then whenever you're happy that you're going to have a safe passage out of there, get in the Romero's hearse. Of course, this one is the Fireproof Romero's hearse. And just drive it back to your garage. You might want to stop at Pay and Spray if you want to get rid of your wanted level. But of course, that's optional. You can choose to YOLO it and just head back to your garage. It's up to you. I chose to go to Pay and Spray here just for safety. And also, of course, you can pass the mission once you're happy that you've obtained all the cars that you want to keep. I'm just storing it in my Lynx View apartment here. Of course, you can store it wherever you like, completely up to you. Of course, I'm using different save datas here. Got my White Admiral tucked away on another save, so don't worry, I haven't got rid of it. And just showing you that it is indeed fireproof. And there we have it. We've obtained all the cars we need from 2-Bit Hit. Now we move on to the uniquely coloured Patriot. But just before we obtain that car, it's time to discuss the mission Sir Yes Sir in general. So this is a mission you get from Colonel Cortez, which will have you steal a tank, which he describes as a piece of military hardware. Not exactly that. Now what I wanted to say is that it's actually worth getting the tank from this mission because it's going to be useful later on. To do that, just park a car right in front of the tank in the convoy, and then instead of taking it where you're supposed to the garage, which is represented by the pink marker on your map, just simply take it to your garage instead, wait for the detonation meter to get full, and then it will blow up. You will fail the mission, and if it's inside your garage, you can just regenerate it. I won't show you this in depth because it's not a special vehicle, but as I mentioned, it's one that you might want to obtain just because it'll come in handy later on when we're obtaining other special vehicles. So, because we failed the mission by letting the tank blow up, that means we can restart the mission to get the Patriot. Now, the Patriot in itself is quite an interesting special vehicle. So it's what's known as UC2, or Unique Colour 2, as far as I know. And what that means is there's a unique colour on the car, but you can't actually see it. So it's completely up to you whether you want to obtain it or not, because to the naked eye it just looks like any other Patriot. There's no kind of special quality about it that's obvious anyway. But if you're a person that wants to have every single special car in your possession, then you will still want to obtain it. So a little bit different to what we did before. Essentially, the main task here is just to blow up every other vehicle in the convoy, excluding the Patriot and the tank. Now you're up against the army here, and as you've seen when we got the tank before, there is a very easy way we can actually do this. At least complete the mission as Rockstar intended you to. But when you properly engage the army like this, you will probably take a lot of damage, so you will have seen me go for a little diversion down to the docks there, just to stock up on health and armour. But essentially, any way you can, just kill all the army members that come after you, try to kill you, including the one on the top of the tank there, don't forget about him. And when you're happy that they're all dead, go and grab the Patriot. Now one advantage to this is the Patriot, along with the tank there, and probably the flatbeds too, or Barracks all should I say, they don't disappear even when you leave the area. So you saw me go down and grab that health and armour, and then come back and obviously the Patriot was still there. So we wanted to kill all the army members because if we didn't, then there's a chance of them blowing up the Patriot or killing us when we're trying to make off with it. So put the UC2 Patriot into your garage, and then you can go ahead and finish the mission. So as mentioned, just to recap, there is a special colour, I believe it's grey, on the Patriot, but you can't see it. So again, it's up to you whether you want to obtain this one or not. It's personally one that I wouldn't usually go for, just because you can't see any special features on it. You just have to kind of know that they're there. but it is in the game's code. If you are interested in obtaining it, then you can just follow my route here. Just take the tank to the garage and you're done. Then just grab a car, any car, come back up to your garage, open and close it, and the Patriot will have returned to full health. And there we have it. Fairly difficult to obtain, in fact, if you manage to get shot a lot by the army, as I did there. I mean, I could have died quite easily, but hopefully you'll get lucky. So now it's time to obtain the specially coloured silver PCJ 600. And this is actually done from the mission auto side, which is one of the payphone missions, or contract missions as they're sometimes called. So just skip the phone call, no need to watch it, then grab whatever car you have, and then you come up here to the blue marker on your map, and the PCJ is just sitting there, because it's the bike that's actually intended for you to complete the mission with. But of course, we're not interested in completing the mission right now, we're just interested in obtaining this vehicle. Now, there are actually several other special vehicles on the same mission, so what we don't want to do here, in fact, is pass the mission. We want to fail it. Now, luckily, we can use the tools that Rockstar gave us, i.e. the mission timer, to fail the mission quite easily. So just head back up to your safe house, whichever one that you want to store it in. Put it in the garage, and then all you have to do is just wait for the timer to go down. Simple as that, really. To be honest, I can't really think of an easier special vehicle to obtain in the game. So you have time to do whatever you like, go for a drive, or ride should I say, mess about, kill some time, do whatever you like, and then once the timer ends, the bike is yours to keep. So there we go, confirmed, mission failed. So we just park our bike in there and head out. So back on the same mission, there is also the specially coloured pink and black Bobcat. Again, one of a kind. You won't find it in any other missions. You won't even find it when you use the black cars cheat, because the pink colour won't spawn, it will just be black all over. So once you've killed the first guy, come down here, get a sniper rifle and a nice vantage point, and just shoot that guy out of the security car. Now, this isn't actually part of the method, but I wanted to show you this security car because it's one of the unobtainable vehicles, special vehicles should I say, on Vice City. So what's special about this? Well, it's heavy, which means that it weighs more than other vehicles on the game, and other security cars in particular. So as you can see, you can smash any car out of your way. It's quite a fun one to drive. There are actually other heavy vehicles on the game, such as the Admiral and the Sentinel that we saw in Jury Fury earlier. This one is a lot easier to drive, however. A lot easier to get inside, anyway. So even though it is unobtainable, it's still a fun one to drive, so you can easily obtain it from the mission and drive it around for a little bit. But it is classed as unobtainable because although you can get in and drive it, if you try and store it in your garage, its powers will unfortunately disappear. So once you've had enough fun in the security car, come down here. You might need to get a little bit closer than I do here. But if you go too close, then the Bobcat can drive off. What you want to do is snipe the driver and the passenger from far away as you can get to while they still spawn. Shoot the driver first so that the Bobcat doesn't drive away, and then you can get in and drive it away yourself. So unfortunately, that's the end for the security car here. It was nice to drive for a little while, but we can't store it, so never mind. But we can indeed store the black and pink Bobcat, and we're going to store it back at the Hyneman Condo. Again, if you're struggling for garage space at all, I recommend having multiple save datas. And once we get slightly further in the game, we'll also be able to buy Sunshine Autos, which will give us 4 more garages. So if you're struggling now, don't worry about it too much. You can store 4 vehicles in this first garage here, and 2 in each of the others. You could potentially not store the tank if you didn't want it. You can get a tank other ways on the game, of course, by getting a 6-star wanted level and then stealing one from the army, and also by the tank cheat, and also by stealing one from the Fort Baxter airbase. So again, we let the timer run down to fail the mission because we still have 1 more vehicle that we want to obtain from the very same mission, so we don't want to pass the mission just yet. So there we go. We've obtained the black and pink Bobcat now, and we've just got 1 more vehicle to obtain off the very same mission. And that vehicle is another PCJ, in fact. This time it's a special blue colour that doesn't appear anywhere else on the game. There are other blue PCJs on the road, by the way, so they do look similar. Anyway, so this guy is your last target. What you want to do is just play through the mission until he appears. Just kill everybody else that the game wants you to. And then, basically, you can obtain this bike however way you want to. I find it easiest just to shoot him. Obviously I failed in the first instance there, near the Ocean Heights apartment. He came off himself there. I think the wet weather actually helped me out, and his obviously poor bike skills helped me out again. So you can pass the mission this time, and hopefully your bike doesn't have a popped front tyre like mine does, which made it driving back to the garage pretty difficult, especially as it was raining as well. So I think this actually took me a while. No wonder I cut it out. As you can see, it's understeering a lot right there. So here we go, coming up to the garage now, and again, just store it wherever you like. It doesn't have to be in the Hyneman Condo, you can store it in whichever garage you have a space in. And there we go. So we're done with the mission auto side now, and we can move on. Park the bike however way you like. Again, I like to park them facing frontwards out of the garage, just because they look nice. Okay, another black vehicle here, another specially coloured black vehicle. This time it's the Sanchez, probably one of the most well-known vehicles actually on the game. That's because it's so easy to obtain. So you want to come up here, near the Hyneman Condo, near the Hyneman Memorial Stadium, and you want to find the dirt track. There's a Landstalker here and a Sanchez, they both have different side missions. Get on the Sanchez and you will start trial by dirt. So, what you want to do here is just essentially do the mission as Rockstar intended you to. Just carry on, go through the checkpoints, or the markers, whatever you want to call them. And when you get to a certain point, you'll start hearing other Sanchez's join you. It's a group of Haitians, each with their own black Sanchez. All you've got to do, just shoot them off. You don't even have to shoot all of them, just shoot one. And there we go, we've obtained the black Sanchez. It's as easy as that, really. Of course, when the timer runs out, not the mission timer that is, it's the timer that you get when you get off a bike. It gives you a few seconds to get back on a bike and complete the mission. Now, I don't recommend actually completing the mission. I recommend just waiting the 15 seconds for the time to expire, and then you're free to go back and take it to your garage again. So it's just a short wait, and there we go, we failed the mission. So if you possibly can, try to get one without a popped tyre like I have again here. It makes driving it back a lot easier, but either way we're not really going far, so it doesn't matter too much. Of course that garage is now full, so we'll move on to one of the others. For now, I'll store it here with my tank. And there we go, it's as easy as that really. So one other thing to mention is that you can store 2 vehicles in a garage that's meant for just one. Same method as on GTA 3 really, which I will show you in a second. So with all the smaller garages on the Eastern Island, you can in fact fit a car and a bike quite easily. So again, if you are running short on garage space already, because we can't actually buy Sunshine Autos yet, then you may need to exploit this tactic. So all you have to do is just back it up or drive forwards right to the garage, get on foot, open the garage and then drive in. Really easy, exactly the same as it was on GTA 3. I believe you can do it in San Andreas as well if my memory serves me correctly. One of the favourite glitches, if you want to even call it a glitch, in the Grand Theft Auto universe, because it allows us to store more cars than the game ever intended us to. So just to show you, of course I've moved some of my bikes now. I recommend having this garage reasonably free, just for the vehicle that we're going to obtain next. I'd recommend having a maximum of 2 cars in the first garage there. So for example, 2 cars in each garage. Because we're about to obtain this. This is the Bulletproof, Fireproof, Explosionproof Squallow. And it comes from the mission Supply and Demand. So this is actually one of 2 boats that we can obtain on this game. The other one is from the very same mission, and it's almost exactly the same boat, but we'll discuss that after. For now, all you need to worry about is just skipping the cutscene, run down the steps here, go and join Lance in the fastest boat that we achieved from the mission before. Obviously I didn't show that in this playthrough, because there's no special vehicle to be obtained from it. So just skip the second cutscene with Lance.
We got some competition.
Mission will start shortly after. All you need to do
So Tommy, we know it
is
was
just come
Diaz
over
busted
here
our deal,
and
so
shoot
why in the
Lance
hell
to
are we
kill
running
him.
errands for?
You will fail the mission by doing so, which means that we can now take this boat for ourselves. So, same thing as we always do. What we need to do next is just get it to a garage. And again, I'm going to take it to the Hyneman Condo, because it's one of the biggest garages we currently have. As I mentioned, in the first garage where you can store a maximum of 4 cars, I recommend having a maximum of 2 in it if you want to obtain this vehicle. Of course you can do it with more in, but I recommend just for ease, more than anything else, I recommend having a maximum of 2. I've actually cleared my garage for this. You don't necessarily need to do this, so don't think that you have to get rid of all your other cars to get this boat, because you don't. I just had no other cars in there, just to make it as simple as possible for me to get this back to my garage. So you want to come to this spot here. You saw us go right round the Hyneman Memorial Stadium. So you want to find that patch of grass, beach the boat, and then we're going to push it on foot back to our garage. You can actually build up a fair amount of speed pushing this boat. You just have to get it right in the sweet spot. So try and push it between the 2 outboard motors. Try and get it going straight. Obviously I haven't here, but if you manage to get in a good rhythm, you can honestly get it back to your garage quite quickly. You will have a couple of corners to go around, but don't worry, there's no time limit here. Take as long as you want, take as long as you need to get it back to your garage. One thing to watch out for is that it sometimes can get stuck on walls a little bit, which was the same as on GTA 3 with boats, unfortunately. And pedestrians can potentially slow you down, as can cars on the road.
You and me, no problem.
But all in all, it should be a pretty easy, pretty short push. Again, going back to the Hyneman Condo. So, if you find yourself getting stuck, just straighten it up. You can also use the method to get infinite sprint, whereby instead of holding down the X button, you just tap it really fast instead. and if you get the right rhythm there, you can actually get infinite sprint. Of course, infinite sprint is usually obtained by completing all the paramedic missions, but of course we don't necessarily need that. Not when we can do it without. So we're nearly back to our garage here. So what I recommend is just pushing it right up to the garage door, getting it as close as you can. Again, I'm taking extra care there not to get it stuck on the wall. Sometimes you can get it stuck on the wall in a point where you can't move it again, which is why I'm being extra cautious. So here we go, almost back. Just straighten it up. Obviously the garage door opens. You can push the tip in, the very front, the bow, if you want to use boat terms. I hope that's right, by the way. And then just push the rest of the boat in. Oh, there we go. So the garage door was going to close anyway. An outboard motor is actually sticking out the garage door, but it doesn't seem to matter. Tommy needs a rest. I obviously got the pattern wrong for infinite sprint. And I believe now it's moving particularly slowly. It is in the garage, I just wanted to make sure that it is properly in. And there we go. As you can see, it was really easy to obtain because I moved all the other cars out of the garage. But again, you don't have to do this. So just showing you that it is indeed bulletproof. I'm going to show you that it's explosion-proof as well. Get yourself into the very farmost corner of the garage if you want to try this, just so you don't blow up yourself in the process. And I did anyway, so never mind, I guess. And I didn't actually have a flamethrower at that point, unfortunately. So, back on the same mission, you can actually obtain a fireproof, explosion-proof Squallow. So, exactly the same boat, but just not bulletproof. So, what you saw me do there was you get to the first checkpoint of the mission, and then you kill Lance at that point instead of killing him right at the start. So I believe the reason why it's not bulletproof at that point is because after that you need to head back to Diaz's mansion, all the while your enemies, your rivals, are shooting at you. So the boat has like a health bar at that point. So anyway, you can just now obtain it using exactly the same method, just ditch it in exactly the same spot near the Hyneman Memorial Stadium, and then you can just push it back to your garage. So here we go, I can now show you that it is indeed fireproof. Both versions of the boat are fireproof, and I'll just show you that it is not bulletproof at this point. So I'll just give it a few rounds, and as you can see you've got smoke coming out of it now, when we didn't before. So it's up to you whether you want to obtain both of these boats or just the first one, because it does have an extra proofing ability. So again, if you want to obtain this, do exactly the same thing. Push it, get right in between the outboard motors, and just push it back to your garage. As you can see, I've got a much better rhythm this time, much better position, which enables me to push it a lot faster. Okay, now it's time to obtain the Black Rancher. Now to do this, we need to go back to the dirt track. Instead of getting into the Sanchez, what we want to do is get into the Landstalker instead. Now this one is a little bit harder to obtain. What you want to do this time is set 3 records. So if you remember how we did Cone Crazy before, we set 1 record where we weren't trying very hard at all, we just let the timer go down, and then we easily beat our record a load more times. So it's like that. So what you need to do is you need to set 2 slow times, and then a 3rd faster time. Once you've set 3 records, getting the Landstalker a 4th time, you can see a couple of my failed attempts on the left and right here. So this is my 4th record attempt. We don't actually need to set a record this time. But as you can see, at this point, a Black Rancher now spawned. Not like before, with the Sanchez's, where they spawn every single time. All you need to do is just run, catch up with the guy, the security guard, who's driving the rancher and just steal it. It's quite easy. To be honest, he just drives around the route of the track, so he'll never get out of reach. And now all we need to do again is just drive it back to our garage. Another very easy one to obtain. The only tricky bit can be if you've previously set 2 really good records, so you struggle to beat it a 3rd time. I'm just trying to put the boat a little bit further in. Doing so damaged the rancher quite a lot, but it doesn't matter, because of course every time you put in a car in a garage and you open the garage door again, it's regenerated. Okay, another black car, another specially coloured vehicle here. It's the Black Washington. And that comes from the mission All Hands on Deck from Colonel Cortez. Now this is one that I tried to obtain a lot when I was younger. Failed a lot. I never actually found a method for this when I was younger. I only actually rediscovered how to actually obtain this car when I was doing this video. And I was looking at other guides and walkthroughs online. And again, you'll find all the kind of thank yous for this walkthrough in the video description. I've credited everyone where I've used their method in full, or at least in part. You know, for example, if there's a method for PC and I've adapted it for the PS2 version, I'll still give credit. Okay, so once you've passed all the cutscenes, get out a minigun or whatever gun you like, shoot the guys on the left hand side of the boat. That's because we don't want them to interfere with what we're about to do. Okay, so using any method possible, get down to the lowest deck. Now you'll see this boat pull up, kill both the guys, especially the driver. Now watch the boat behind. It will now push the first boat back towards our yacht. Now press triangle as many times as you can and you will be transported through the wall and into the speeder. Now again, that happened quite fast, so you might just want to replay that a little bit. So what we did was, we went down to the lowest deck, we shot both the guys out of this speeder, we waited for the other boat to push the speeder towards the yacht, and then we pressed triangle to transport ourselves through the wall and into the boat. Cool, so get yourself back on dry land. And what we now need to do is we need to push the Washington on foot, don't get in it yet, back to where the mission started. You can also push it back to your garage from here, but to be honest that takes a lot longer, and I've heard that it's not a safer method. This is a lot easier, I recommend this. So it can be a little bit difficult to push, it's quite slippy at the back, you'll usually come off it, as I did. Try and push it straight. I managed to crash it into a couple of walls here. Not that it can't be fixed, but just because I wasted a bit of time, I could have been quicker. And once you get it close to where we started the mission, what we need to do then is just get in it. If you get in it further down where it originally spawned, then the mission will fail, you'll be transported back up here, and the mission will have failed, but the car will have disappeared. So once you're happy that you've got it close enough to the pier, then you get in it, you'll fail the mission immediately, and hopefully the car will still be there. So, now once again, all we do is we just store it in our garage. Couldn't be easier. Not at this point anyway. To be honest, it's fairly easy to obtain overall. Might just take a bit of good aiming to shoot the guys in the speeder that we stole. But apart from that, nothing really to worry about with this mission and this method. So once again, I'm taking it back to the Hyneman Condo. You can choose to store it wherever you like. Again, utilise multiple save datas if you need to. Just depends how many cars you're interested in obtaining. So I'm just taking a bit of extra care to park it here. Not too sure why, because the garage will fix it once I close the door. Just getting it in the right spot. Of course, the boat takes up a lot of room, so you can, once again, store 4 cars in this garage, or you can store even more with the use of the method that we did earlier to store the bikes in the garages on the eastern island. And now, it's time to obtain another black vehicle. There are so many black vehicles on this game. They can all be obtained, of course, with the use of the black cars cheat. And of course, another method, which I'll save till later as well, a non-cheating method. But for now, let's carry on. We'll get the Black Admiral from checkout at the check-in. You'll also see it spawn on another mission later on as well that we'll get to. But this is by far the easier one to obtain. So all you need to do at this point is go in the airport, take the phone call, pick up the sniper rifle, and then just let this little cutscene play out. And then what you need to do is, once the game tells you to, you kill the target using the sniper rifle provided. So I'll skip a lot of this mission out, of course, because I'll only really concentrate on the bit where we're obtaining the special vehicle. That's all we care about at this point. So there we go. I've shot the guy at the point where the game tells you to. Then you can go ahead, pick up the briefcase. You can kill that other guy if you want. Wouldn't really recommend it. I recommend just leaving him. Don't forget to pick up all your guns after you come out of the airport. It's easily done. Hopefully a police car won't get in your way like it did with me. And then grab whatever car you can. Obviously, the car that you used to get here will probably still be there. And then we head out. Head this way. We come round this corner. Obviously the police are still chasing us as well. Now watch out on the left hand side. The Admirals will come out of that car park. And they may even set your car on fire. But not to worry, we don't need that in Furnace anymore. What I like to do, and obviously there are other methods as well, just come down here, get our sniper rifle out again, and try and shoot one of the guys off the top of the car. Don't forget there are 2 Admirals here, so if you mess up, you can always get the other one, i.e. if you manage to blow up one for whatever reason. So I'm just trying to shoot the other one there. Obviously I've already got one that doesn't have a driver on at the moment. But there's another one, and I'm a bit wary that I could get shot. When it's safe to do so, get close to the one where you shot the guy off the top. Use a flamethrower to make the driver get out. And there we go, we've obtained it. If you don't have a flamethrower, what you could do instead is you could shoot the guy through the windscreen. And you could obtain the car that way as well. So now all we need to do is finish the mission. So head up to ammunition and be careful because your car might be on seriously low health like mine is here. Of course, you can't take it to paint and spray because it will turn into a different colour. So bear that in mind that we need to get it back to our garage in one piece without using paint and spray. Just about managed to get mine back here. As you can tell, it is completely knackered at this point. Mainly due to the police, partially due to my bad driving as well. But once we've got it in the garage, we're done and dusted. Okay, so once we've obtained the Black Admiral, it's now time to go and buy Sunshine Autos. So you can see where I am on the map here. Obviously, if you've played the game loads of times before, you'll know exactly where it is. But for those of you who aren't sure, this is where you need to go. You come over, you buy Sunshine Autos. It does cost $50,000. Obviously, it comes with its own side missions that you have to complete in the form of races, and also a garage where, pretty much like the import-export garage on GTA 3, where you have to collect cars and you bring them back to here and you get rewarded with money. But what we're really interested in is the fact that we have 4 new garages to store our vehicles. So like the heavy security car, there are other vehicles in the game that are proofed or in a special colour, for example. that are unfortunately unobtainable. One of those is what's known as the Super Angel. So obviously you get these standard angels here that you're supposed to use for this race, but what you can do instead is you approach one of the bikers, you simply knock him off, and then you get to do the race on this bike. Now, all the other racers, all the other bikers, if you like, in this race have what are known as Super Angels, and they're called Super Angels because they handle way better than a normal angel. As you can tell by just watching me play through this mission here, I'm able to take corners so much faster than I would have been able to by using a freeway or a normal angel, which are the two bikes the game suggests for you to compete in, but of course you can use any bike, I'm pretty sure. So unfortunately, you can't obtain this angel because, like the security car, when you try to store it, the garage will eat its powers, and unfortunately it will just return back to being a normal angel. But what you can do is pass the mission and then continue to ride it for as long as you like. So I'll take it for a little spin here. It's worth mentioning on this video, even though it's not obtainable, just because it's so enjoyable. It wasn't actually until Vice City Stories that the game would actually allow you to store these super handling bikes. So when we eventually do get to Vice City Stories and we do a similar video, then you'll be able to see those bikes there. And of course, we'll be able to store them. So just showing you now, you take it to your garage, you put it in, you close the garage, just as we have done with every other car we've obtained so far. And now we take it out, we go for a ride, and as you can see, the handling is now so much slower. We have to slow down more for corners, and if we were to attempt alloy wheels of steel with this bike now, it would likely take us a lot longer. So anyway, now it's time to move on and obtain the Love Fist, otherwise known as the Love Fist Limo. You can get this, most easily anyway, from the mission Psycho Killer. The Love Fist Limo does show up in other missions as well, also from Love Fist / Kent Paul, but it's easiest to obtain on this one. Something to note, on the PS2 version, you'll need to obtain it from one of these missions, or do the cheat if you're not opposed to that. But on the PC version, and probably the mobile version, I'm not too sure about that, you don't have to obtain it this way. And that's because when you completed all Love Fist's missions, the Love Fist Limo will spawn outside the record studio. But for some reason on the PS2 version, the original version of the game of course, it doesn't do that. So we have to obtain it from a mission, much like we did with the Romero's Hearse. So all we do, we just follow the Psycho Killer. Trashmaster comes out, causes him or her to spin. Then all we do is we just do a drive-by. He'll get out of his car, he will shoot you, so do watch out. And if the explosion doesn't kill him, then you can come back, you can run him over, or you can get out and shoot him. And of course, upon completing this mission, we are still left in the Love Fist, which means that we can take it to our garage very easily. So just take it to wherever you have space. Of course, now that we've killed Diaz, not that we showed it in the video, but you're likely to have killed Diaz at this point in the game, we now have access to the garage at the Vassetti estate as well. Of course, because we already stored the Admiral there. But of course, it's a 2-car garage, so we've got another space, which is perfect for the Love Fist Limo. Okay, now it's time to obtain 3 fireproof vehicles. There's a Banshee, an Infernus, and a Cheetah. So, this is where our tank comes in handy. So if you didn't manage to get one from, say, Yes Sir before, You can get one by getting a 6-star wanted level and then stealing one from the army, or you can go to Fort Baxter Air Base and steal one from there. Both are slightly harder than getting it from Sir Yes Sir though, so I do recommend getting it from that mission if you can. So then you come down, you start a street race. We're going to go for Vice City Endurance. You could probably do it from any of the street races, but I chose this one because the race starts from just outside Sunshine Autos, which means that we don't have to push the car as far. So you will likely have to do this 3 times, but of course you can do street races as many times as you like. You never officially complete them. They're always available. So what we want to do is just get our tank, come in front of the races, blow up whichever one you want, whichever one of the 3. The Cheetah is probably the hardest to get to because it's at the back, whereas the Banshee and the Infernus both start on the front row. So then all you do is, using the tank, just push it down. Try not to get it stuck on the garage wall because it's more prone to disappearing that way. Obviously, I've done it here, unfortunately. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's definitely going to disappear, but it just means that it has a greater chance. So do try and keep it off the garage walls. So, if you've done everything right, you will have obtained it. And I'll just show you that it is indeed fireproof there. And now it's time to get the other 2. Now I won't show you these 2 as in depth because it's exactly the same method 3 times. I guess one thing to bear in mind is that every time you start VC Endurance you will have to pay the entrance fee, $10,000. But we should have earned a lot of money at this point in the game just through doing missions, and of course if like me you did Cone Crazy a bunch of times at the start of the game, then you will have loads left over, almost certainly. So we push the Cheetah in again, exactly the same method. Once you're happy, just get out of the tank and run back and double check to make sure that it has indeed regenerated and that it didn't disappear while you were closing the door. And now lastly, it's time to obtain the Fireproof Infernus. So again, I'll just show this really quickly because we're going to do the exact same thing as we did twice already. We start VC Endurance. We go and get in our tank. I recommend keeping the tank in one of the garages at Sunshine Autos just so it's accessible, so you don't have to keep going back to another garage and getting it all over again. We want the Rhino right where we need it. So exactly the same method, blow it up, push it into your garage, and there we go. We have obtained successfully the last of the 3 fireproof cars that we can get from the street races. Okay, now we move on to the uniquely coloured gold stretch. Now to get this, you'll need to have bought the film studio's asset on Prawn Island, and the mission that we're interested in here is Martha's mugshot. Now this gold stretch does show up in multiple missions, at least one other anyway. It is obtainable from that mission as well, but this is again by far the easiest method, just like when we got the Black Admiral before. So if you want, you can obtain both. There's no real reason to, however, just because they're the exact same vehicle. So all we do is we run out through the gate, we set it on fire, and we just wait for Candy Sucks to walk up, and then we're going to shoot her with a drive-by to fail the mission. One interesting thing to mention is that on the Japanese version of the game, this stretch is actually fireproof. So you will need a separate strategy, which I will put in the video's description, if you want to obtain the fireproof stretch. So there you go, once you kill Candy, mission failed, and then you can take it to a garage. There is at least one other fireproof vehicle that's exclusive to the Japanese version of the game, by the way, and it's a voodoo. I'll also put a link to a method for this in the description, so if you have the Japanese version, then you can obtain it. So we come back down anyway to Sunshine Autos. We've still got loads of room in all these garages. Make sure you don't accidentally put it in pay and spray, then obviously it will lose its special gold colour scheme. That would be bad. But of course we did fail the mission, so we could obtain it again. So there we go, just park it in whatever garage takes your fancy, and we're done. Okay, back to the black special cars. This time we have a specially coloured black Sentinel. To get this one, you'll need the Printworks asset. And the mission that we need for this car is hit the courier. So as usual, start the mission, skip the cutscene, and then just get back to business.
Alright, the courier's moving the plate from the docks.
Okay, so once you've skipped the cutscene, just get any vehicle. I recommend a bike because you can shoot frontwards on a bike like this, which seems to be a very efficient method of shooting all these women that attack you. Although the ones that are situated high up, like that one up there, can be tricky to reach with a bike, if not impossible. So I recommend just shooting the ones that you can on the bike and then getting out and then finishing off the rest. You can see the black Sentinel here in the middle between two red Sentinels, which aren't exclusively coloured, unfortunately. Just make sure that you've killed all the people. I like to turn the Sentinel round so it's facing sideways. That's because when the helicopter lands, the enemy that gets out will run towards the black Sentinel, and if it's parked sideways like this, then she will crash into the red Sentinel, and it will just give you a little bit longer to be able to shoot her out, as we're going to do here. Now, unfortunately, on this, I actually shoot too early, so make sure that you wait until she fully gets in the car, and then perform a headshot just to knock her out. Now this is important, shoot the other woman there who also gets out the helicopter, because what can happen is if you shoot the woman that was in the Sentinel, the other one can come up and collect the briefcase and also get in the Sentinel, which obviously then drives off. So if we've done all that correctly, you'll now successfully be in the Sentinel, and we can just go ahead, get back to the Printworks, jump in the pink marker and complete the mission. And in doing so, we complete the Printworks asset as a whole. And of course, you won't need me to tell you that whenever you complete an asset, it will make money for you. So if you're ever short of cash, if you need to buy any safe houses for whatever reason, then you can always rely on your assets at this point in the game. So taking it back down to Sunshine Autos, we're just going to put it in one of the garages that isn't full. So we'll just slot it in here next to our tank. And there we go. Still do recommend keeping the Rhino, by the way, because we will need it again after. Of course, you can obtain another one. Anyway, for now, it's time to obtain the Bulletproof, Fireproof, Explosionproof Sabre Turbo. Probably one of the best cars in the game. So again, what we're going to do is, just as before, we're going to do the trick that will let us pick up 2 missions at the same time. So exactly as before, we started Vigilante, we got out, we cancelled it, then we run back towards the cop car, we release Vigilante, or at least the Vigilante mission button, just as Tommy closes the door. If you need a more detailed walkthrough of that process in particular, I recommend again rewinding the video. We did it twice before, once for the black stretch, once for the all Proof Maverick, so You should be a master at it by now. So just as before, as we did with the black stretch, we come down here, we pick up the Rampage again. So now we're on Vigilante and Rampage at the same time. And then we make our way over to the Malibu Club, which of course you will need to have purchased to be able to obtain this car. And we just park up. We cancel Vigilante if you haven't already. And then you can go ahead and venture inside. Okay, so once we're inside, you can head over to the mission marker. Don't step in it right away. So just watch what I do here. Make your way across the dance floor. And then you want to wait until the timer's getting low. Watch for the moment that I walk into the mission marker. Just counting down. Going to enter it in about 9 or 10 seconds. Should be fine. So once the cutscene loads, just skip it fast as possible. And then the second cutscene will start. And once this happens, your Rampage timer should run out. The cutscene will skip automatically. You'll get the Rampage failed message on your screen. But then the race will start anyway. When the race starts, instead of doing it how the game designers intended you to, just reverse back, head back into the Malibu Club. And there we go. Head into the mission marker again and pick up another instance of the driver. So now we have two of the same mission going on at the same time. So once again, skip the cutscene. And we wait for the second cutscene to load. Skip this one as well as fast as possible. And the race will start once again. Now you've already got a wanted level at this point, so you will have police chasing you. They can actually interrupt your start, as they did for me here. Hopefully you won't have too much trouble. Fortunately I had extra aggressive police for whatever reason at the start of this, which made it very difficult. Almost got hit by another one there. So what you want to do at this point is just carry on with the mission. It doesn't really matter whether you're first or second at this point. Just go ahead, continue to go through the checkpoints. And one of two things, in my experience, will actually happen here. The first one is that Hillary will be parked, usually around here. I have had him parked up in other places as well, but his car will just be stopped in a lamppost, in this instance at least. What you want to do is perform a headshot through the windscreen, get in when it's safe to do so, drive away, and continue with the mission. So whatever happens, just continue with the mission. And one of two outcomes can happen here. Either you'll randomly get the message that Hillary has died and you will fail the mission. But if you don't get this message, then just carry on and finish the mission as normal. Doesn't really matter whether you come first or second. Doesn't really matter whether you pass or fail the mission. Essentially, we just want it to end so that we can take this car back to our garage. So I think, if I remember right, on this particular run, it's one of the ones where I got the message that Hillary had died and the mission failed. But I'm just carrying on just in case that message doesn't come up and I need to take the alternative strategy to finish the mission instead. Now, although it's really easy to obtain the Sabre Turbo in this way, there is one downside to this method. in that it leaves a permanent pink marker on your mini-map. Some people are bothered by this, other people aren't. So there you go, we got the mission failed. Message pop up, by the way. Again, if you don't get this, just carry on, just finish the mission. Then take it to your garage either way. Another alternative method that won't leave a pink marker on your screen is to take a tank, blow it up, and push it back to your garage, like we did with the fireproof cars from the Sunshine Autos races. So you can do it that way as well. I'll put a link to that method in the description. But I do recommend this one, just because it's so much easier. Yes, it does leave a pink marker on your map, but for me, time to do the same tests again. So just show you that it's bulletproof and fireproof. Didn't actually have a rocket launcher to hand, unfortunately, at this point in the game, but you can test it out yourselves. It is explosion-proof as well. Next one on our hit list is the White Walton. The specially coloured or uniquely coloured White Walton, of course. And it's obtained from the mission Gunrunner, given to you by Phil Cassidy. Something to mention is that cutscene Walton there, which is different to every other Walton in the game. As you can see, it has like a metallic silver colour, and it's also rusty in parts as well. But unfortunately, it's unobtainable. So what you want to do really is just, at least at this point, play through the mission as normal. Shoot the guys off the back, get in, make sure that you kill the driver, and you will also need to pick up the weapons that have the pink arrow over them, as we've done there. So the aim of this mission is actually to destroy all the Waltons. Of course we don't want to do that yet, because we need to make sure that we get one back to our garage first. What I like to do is go ahead, kill all the guys, get all the guns, essentially play through the mission as it's supposed to be done. But the one thing I don't do is destroy any of the Waltons. I usually leave them just in case, because while you're on this mission, it's quite easy for the enemies to explode your vehicle. You not only have the guys on the back of the truck and in the truck to contend with, but you also have a limitless supply of men turning up on Fagios and shooting you. Once you're happy that you can clearly get one to your garage, then you can go ahead, destroy all the other Waltons so you're left with just one. Take it to your garage, get out a weapon, blow it up while it's inside your garage, and then just go out, go back in, you'll have passed the mission, and the car will have regenerated itself. Okay, the next car on our hit list is the Black Pony, which is another exclusively coloured car. So the first thing that we're going to want to do here is actually come down to the docks and grab ourselves a Packer. So, if you're not sure where to pick up this car, you can just follow where I am on the map here. So, once you have yourself a Packer, just drive out. If one doesn't spawn there, then go for a drive around, come back, and they also commonly spawn on the roads around there as well. So, you've got a good chance of getting one. So what you'll actually need at this point is 2 Packers. Now I recommend just storing them both in Sunshine Autos if you have space. So once you have your 2 Packers, then go ahead and start the mission Loose Ends.
There is a valuable exchange taking place on the roof of...
So skip the phone call. And now what you'll want to do here is just take out as many of these guys as possible. You'll notice just there is a black Admiral. This mission actually presents another instance where we can actually obtain the Black Admiral. So if you didn't get the one before, you can get the Black Admiral from here, though it is harder to get than the one from checkout at the check-in. So I do recommend getting the one that I got on this walkthrough if you can. And as you can see, there's our black pony. But what we need to do first, of course, is just kill all the guys in the vicinity. That will make it a lot easier when we actually come to get the black pony out of this area and back to our garage. So it's up to you kind of how far you go with how many guys you want to kill at this point. After we get the black pony, we'll have to come back, finish this mission anyway. So undoubtedly there will be some more guys that we will have to kill later on. I recommend just killing all the enemies that could potentially shoot and damage our black pony when we're trying to get it out of here. So you probably don't need to kill as many guys as I'm killing here, but it makes it easier for later. As I say, when we come back and finish the mission, we don't have to finish off as many of them there. Okay, so once you're happy that you've killed enough of the guys that are around the pony, we go back to Sunshine Autos and we take both Packers back over to where the mission is taking place, which is the Cherry Poppers ice cream factory, of course. So what you want to do here is just drive one of the Packers a short way, get out, leave the door open, and then get in the other one and just do exactly the same. It does take a while to do this, but it's more of a foolproof method than getting one Packer at a time. Your cars are more likely to disappear if you try and do that. So once we have our Packers both at the Cherry Poppers ice cream factory, what we want to do here is get one of them and then line it up against the gate. So you want to line it up so that you'll have a run up with the other Packer to be able to jump over the gate. So put it towards the left hand side there, just where I've done. Then go and jump in your other one. And I'm just going to move that ambulance out of the way. You might not have to deal with that. But what you want to do is just make sure that you have a clear run up. I like to reverse the Packer all the way up here. And then when you're ready, take a run up and drive up the other Packer and you'll land safely, hopefully, on the other side. Then turn the Packer around and then face it the other way to create a ramp so we can actually get the pony out of this area now. So take a short run up and then just drive up and down the Packers and you should have made it across no problem. To be honest, doing the actual initial jump with the Packer, it does take a lot of tries. As you can see from this video, I only just made it really. So don't worry if you don't get it straight away. This is a method that can take a few tries, but just keep at it. Okay, so we've kind of got our black pony now, but there is also another special vehicle on this mission, and that is a specially coloured blue Maverick. So of course we want to obtain both of these vehicles from this mission. So you saw what I did there. I went and parked the pony back at Sunshine Autos, and now I'm coming up to finish the rest of the mission. So click the briefcase. Wow, okay, so that guy just came right out of there. I don't know where he was spawned. And the helicopter will be right here. The game intends you to take it to finish the mission because it's far quicker than going by car, for example. So we get it in the Maverick, the specially coloured Maverick, of course, and we just fly over to the airport. We touch down in the pink marker. we get mission passed, and now we can fly back to Sunshine Autos and get ready to store the blue Maverick and of course the pony as well. So as you can see, the pony is already in there. So I'm just going to close and open the garage again just so it regenerates. And I'm actually going to get it out and use it to push the helicopter into the garage. So what I find works quite well is just lining up the pony right at the side of the Maverick and just pushing it quite gently. That way you won't really damage the pony that much, even though you can regenerate it by putting it in the garage and taking it back out. Of course, you want to watch out that you don't accidentally back up into pay and spray, because then obviously we would lose our special colour scheme, and we don't want that to happen. We don't want it to revert back to being a normal pony. So just turn the helicopter around at this point, start pushing it from the back, and it should go into the garage quite easily now. So there we go. Once you're happy with the position you've got it in, you'll just need to make sure there's space for you to get your pony back in as well. Of course you can store it in another garage as well, just whichever one that you want. And there we go. We've successfully obtained both of the special vehicles from that mission. And of course there is the Black Admiral as well, but we've already got one. Right, so now it's time to talk about the Bloodring Banger, the glitchy Bloodring Banger that spawns without a roof. So normally, Bloodring Bangers will both spawn here outside the Hyneman Memorial Stadium when you've completed the Bloodring for the first time, and as you can see, both of them have numbers on their roofs. However, you can get both of these cars to spawn as glitchy versions of these cars without roofs. So what you need to do is just get a fast car, drive past your garages there at the Hyneman Condo, make sure they open, and then come down here as fast as possible, and if you've been quick enough, the Bloodring Banger will have spawned with a glitchy roof. As you can see, there's no number on there now, and only half of the roof has actually spawned. So it's important to note that the cars in the Hyneman Condo, the cars that you have in your garages, need to have what's called no extras. So when a car in Grand Theft Auto has an extra, it means that it can spawn in one of two ways. At least two ways, maybe more. So for example, the Stallion can spawn with or without a roof, so that car would be classed as having extras. So what you need to make sure is, in your garages in the Hyneman Condo, that you store cars there that can only spawn in one variant to be able to do this glitch. And this is also a great method to be able to get the Lightless Taxis as well, which have been around since GTA 3. So just do exactly the same thing as we did to get the glitchy Bloodring Banger. And if you're lucky, a Lightless Kaufman cab will spawn on the road as well. Of course, this can happen to any taxi, so the Kaufman cab, the Cabbie, or the taxi. So I recommend just doing the same method when you're trying to obtain all these glitchy cars. And when one appears, obviously, go ahead, take it back to your garage. To get the other glitchy Bloodring Banger, you'll need to do pretty much the same method. The only difference being that I recommend getting in the first Bloodring Banger, getting out and leaving the door open. That will mean that the car won't despawn. Therefore, the other Bloodring Banger will be the first car to spawn. So again, drive past your garages, make sure they open as fast as you can. Drive down here. I was just checking that taxi there, see if that had spawned without a light. And you come down here, and if you're fast enough, one will have spawned without the proper roof. These glitchy Bloodring bangers are usually missing some sponsors on the side and the back as well. So it's not just the roof that's glitchy, there are a couple of other parts as well that don't spawn as they should. So again, just to recap, to be able to do this glitch you need to drive past your Hyneman Condo garages as fast as possible, you need to get them to open, you need to have no cars with what's known as extras stored in those garages, and by doing this glitch you can obtain the glitchy Bloodring bangers and also the Lightless Taxis as well. So here we go, here's me just obtaining the taxi without the taxi sign, just through exactly the same method. And then that just leaves us with the Lightless Cabbie as well. Now you can actually perform this glitch elsewhere, for example at Sunshine Autos. So just exactly the same thing. Go down to your garages, make sure the ones that you open don't contain any cars with extras in. Then sprint out up to the road, and hopefully the taxi will have spawned, and if it has, then it won't have a taxi sign. So some of these glitchy cars are slightly more difficult to obtain. One of them is the Flatbed here. You can get the Flatbed to spawn without its proper back, so I'm going to show you how to obtain that here. So what you want to do first of all is come down here near Ocean Beach. As you can see from the map, you know where I am. So just go to the same location, go up these stairs and enter apartment 3C. And then straight away go ahead and enter the bathroom. What you want to do is jump up onto the bath and then start running at the corner of the wall, and hopefully you will glitch right through it. If you've done it right, you'll be in the interior world, but you will no longer be in the interior itself. So what you need to do now is get back in your car, and then we need to drive back across to the docks near where the packer spawned before that we used. So this is pretty difficult because you'll need to use the mini-map to guide you, because obviously hardly any of the buildings or the roads or anything spawn whatsoever. So you'll need to use the mini-map to get a good idea where you are on the map. Once you've done this a couple of times, if you need to, then it does become easier, but it can be difficult straight away. So we come back over here on the Western Island, and what you want to do is you want to come up to the point where the Benson spawns. What you want to do here is get in the Benson, get out and leave the door open. That's because we don't want it to despawn, because if that spawns first before the Flatbed, then the Flatbed won't spawn in its glitchy variant. Now what we want to do is go up to Sunshine Autos. Now I don't recommend using the packer here. Unfortunately my taxi exploded, which is why I'm using the packer, because I had to just grab another vehicle. What you want to do is you want to come down, open the first garage, and then reverse back out. Now it's important again that the vehicles in the first garage don't contain extras. I'll put a full list of the vehicles that do contain extras in the description so you know which ones to avoid. However, you saw that I had a stretch and an infernus in there, so if you can't be bothered looking into exactly which cars you need, then just copy what I've done here and you won't run into any problems. Now it can be a little bit tricky to reverse back out of Sunshine Autos. Of course you can walk down to the docks, but it will take a while. I prefer to drive just because it's quicker, even in the Packer. So reverse back out onto the road and then go back down to where we were before, near Pay and Spray and where the Benson spawned. Try not to run over a cop there, as I did. You want to make this as easy as possible for yourself. So we go past, okay, the police car just came out of nowhere. So we come past where the Benson spawned. There's another Packer over there. Of course the Packer can only spawn in one variant, it doesn't have extras, so we don't care about that. And if you've done it right, the Flatbed will have spawned without anything on the back.
Give me your... I got it. What do you think? I got it.
So, all we need to do now is get back into the normal world. So obviously we're still in the interior world. What you need to do is essentially just re-enter any interior. So I've come back across to apartment 3C here, but you don't actually need to do that. So for example, you could enter Uncle Robina's cafe. Pretty much any interior. So there we go. Once we re-enter an interior, the normal world will have returned. So all we need to do now is just go and take it to our garage. Of course we could have taken it to our garage beforehand, but it's quite difficult to do so when none of the textures have loaded. So I'm just doing the garage trick now, or at least trying to be able to store it. And there we go. So we just put it in there. And we're done. Now there is one other glitchy vehicle that we'll want to obtain, and it's the Lightless Zebra Cab. So we're going to do exactly the same thing at this point. So just enter apartment 3C. Of course we do this because we want to glitch out of the interior and go and explore. So what you want to do is jump up onto the bath and then start running at the corner between the two walls, and hopefully you will glitch right through it. So again, grab a car, hopefully you've got one to get over here. And then what we need to do is go back over once again to the Western Island. So same again, we want to come to Sunshine Autos. We don't need to go down to the docks this time, of course. So just go straight to Sunshine Autos. And again, what we want to do is go ahead and open the first garage again. So just to recap, we need to have no cars with extras in this garage. So as you can see, I've got an Infernus and a Banshee in there this time. Those are two cars that can only spawn in one way. So obviously the colour can be different, but for example they can't spawn with or without a roof. So if you're not sure about the whole extras thing, just copy the cars that I have in my garage there. Now what we want to do after that is head over to Kaufman cabs. A few of these roads do spawn here because we just went past Uncle Robina's cafe, which is an interior, so some of the level does load around there. And of course there's the Printworks over there as well, which is another interior, which is why that has spawned, because of course we're still in the interiors world. So again, driving while none of the textures is loaded can be quite difficult Of course, you can still crash into everything. So, again, just use your mini-map for guidance. Can take a few tries. I definitely destroyed a few cars trying to do this. So here we go, we're nearly there now. So we come up to Kaufman cab, so we see the zebra cab spawned. And hopefully it will have spawned without a taxi sign on top. So what we need to do is just find the entrance to Kaufman cabs. Should be right near the money icon. Should be quite simple to find, even though I'm having problems here. There we go. And we're in.
Yo, what's up?
So, if your zebra cab has spawned with a taxi sign on, like usual, what this probably means is that you had a car in your Sunshine Autos garage with an extra, which means that the zebra cab will have unfortunately spawned as normal. But hopefully, you've managed to achieve this rare, glitchy version. So we come back, and of course what we need to do is just enter an interior again, so that's weird. By the way, one of my wheels is like glitching through the floor. I decided to move it just in case. I don't know why, it probably wouldn't have mattered, but... So you go in Cafe Robina, come back out, we get back in the zebra cab, and we take it to our garage. So just take it to a garage wherever you have space. I'm just going to put it in Sunshine Autos. And there we go, we're done. So there are two other glitchy cars to mention, and they are the Hotring racers. Now unfortunately they're not really obtainable on the PS2 version. I'm showing you them here with the use of a cheat disc called AR Max. I'm just showing you essentially what they look like on the PS2 version. However, you can get them on the PC version without cheats. So I'll put a link to it in the description there. But just in case you're wondering how they look on the PS2 version, what I'm doing is using a garage car modifier code on AR Max to tell the game which car to load in this garage, and for some reason when the game loads the car it always loads without extras. So the difference here with the Hotring Racer is that it has no sponsors, no advertising on the roof and on the back, which is what makes it unique. Of course, every normal Hotring Racer you have on the game spawns with adverts on the back and on the roof. So we'll just quickly jump up on the roof here. As you can see, nothing on there whatsoever, meaning that it has spawned without extras. And of course, this is the same for the other Hotring Racer as well. Unfortunately, the third Hotring Racer, the one you can unlock from Sunshine Autos, you can't get it to spawn without extras. It's just the other two. So again, exactly the same. No sponsors on the back or on the roof. Again, this is only available with cheat codes on the PS2 version. I've just included it in the video to show you what it's like, basically, in case you were wondering. I'll put a link in the description to the method for the PC version, so if you have the PC version, then you can obtain it on there. Okay, besides the all-proof Maverick, this is possibly the most difficult vehicle to attain on Vice City. This is the Fireproof, Explosionproof Hotring Racer. Okay, the first thing we want to do is check which event is on at the Hyneman Memorial Stadium. It can be Hotring, Bloodring or Dirt Bike. They cycle every 24 hours in game. Next thing we want to check is which cars are in the parking lot. This is because we're going to break the Hotring racer out of the stadium and find our way back to ammunition while we're in the interiors world. So no textures will be loaded, and we won't even be able to use our mini-map for guidance either. The cars for me here are an Infernus and a taxi. I need to remember this. It's also good to do a trial run of the route we're going to take. The Regina there is about where we'll break the Hotring racer out of the stadium. We're going to come through the car park, where 2 cars will be parked, and on my actual run there's the Infernus and the taxi, but it's likely that they will differ for you. And after the second car, there's that big flat section of wall there. So we follow the wall around the stadium, and eventually we get to the front of the stadium. And at the front, there is an oval-shaped road. When we're in the interiors universe and none of the buildings have loaded, the traffic cars still do, so we can use them for guidance too. So as we follow the road round, we need to take the first right turn, heading towards the Hyneman Condo safe house. Again, we'll be able to see cars turn up here, even in the interiors world, so we can follow them. We come up the road, and we need to turn right. How will we know where to turn? Well, we'll be able to use the police bribe that spawns outside the Hyneman Condo, because that spawns in the interiors world as well. Then we need to take the next left turn. Across the road is the hospital, where an ambulance will spawn, as well as 2 health pickups. We come up this road to our end goal at this point, ammunition. We need to reach ammunition because entering and exiting the shooting range will allow us to leave the interiors world and go back to the normal world, where all the buildings will appear. Okay, so now it's time to do it for real. The event opens its doors between the hours of 8 PM and midnight, so head there anytime between those hours. Start the race and head right along into that dark, shadowy section just off the course. Run along the outside of the wall and drive right into the corner. Keep driving your car at the point where the 2 walls meet. The idea here is that eventually we'll go through it. A good indication of whether it's going well is if the car goes up on one side. Hopefully then it begins to pass through the wall. One thing to mention is that your car's health can go down quite easily while you're doing this. If you are having trouble keeping your car alive, you could always wait to do this after you've achieved 100% game completion. This is because all cars will have double health at this point. Hopefully, your car will turn completely on its side at some point. As you can see from the race timer, it can take some time. You can then use the wall to gain traction to pass more of the car through the wall. Unfortunately, I can't really give you too much guidance on which buttons to press and when. All I'm doing is constantly accelerating and turning left and right whenever I feel the need to. After this stage, about half of the car will have gone through the wall and the other half should drop through slowly. You can see on my video here that gradually more of the car comes through. So keep going, and often it's just one of the back corners of the car that will be the last little bit that's holding on. Again, just try accelerating and turning left and right to wiggle it out, and be patient. Look at my race timer here again, it does take a while to do this. Eventually, it should let go, fall through, and land outside the stadium. This whole process can take a few tries, and it certainly did for me. Also, you'll need to do what you can to make sure you land the car the right way up. Because you're falling from such a height, it's very easy to flip the car over upon landing. So just roll it over and hope for the best. Once you land, get out of the car and head towards the cars we spotted in the car park earlier. For me, they were an Infernus and a taxi. As we come down, we can see both of those cars there. I'm going to head past the taxi towards that flat section of wall we identified earlier. Once we hit that, I'm going to head to the left and follow the wall around the edge of the stadium. We need to follow this wall until we reach the front of the stadium. We'll know we're getting there when we see these two large grey squares in the air. Once those grey squares are in view, we know we're nearly there. Once you get a little further, you can also see the sign above the doors, which indicates which event is on at the stadium. Naturally, if it's the next day now, the event will no longer be Hotring. Next, we'll start to see traffic cars going around the oval road in front of the stadium. I'm still using the outer wall for guidance, but I also want to head towards those cars. Head onto the road and wait for a car to turn right up the side road towards the Hyneman Condo. You can just follow a car to know exactly where the road is. Head up to the top of that road and you'll see the police bribe outside the Hyneman Condo. Again, you can try to follow the traffic to know when to turn right along the road to the hospital. Next, follow the traffic again and turn left onto the final road we need to be on. When you get part way up this road, you can see two pink markers in ammunition, one used to buy weapons and the other to enter the rifle range. Head inside and go towards the back of the room to enter the rifle range. And once you've done that, all the buildings will have appeared once again. Now we need to head all the way back to the Hotring Racer, so go back to the Hyneman Memorial Stadium. We're nearly back now, and you can now see all the buildings we passed in the interiors world, where all the buildings and roads were invisible. Just run around the stadium, doesn't matter which way you go, and find the spot where we broke the Hotring Racer out of the stadium. As you can see, the cars in the car park have now changed as we left the area, so they have since despawned and respawned. Okay, so you're back at your Hotring Racer, so get in and head for the safe house. As you might have noticed, we're still on the mission, so we need to fail it and store the vehicle in our garage to allow us to keep it. What we're going to do is shoot the Hotring Racer with a gun until it sets on fire, then close the garage, reopen it, and let the car explode while the garage door is open. You will fail the mission and will appear outside the stadium. What you need to do is run back to the Hyneman Condo to make sure you've been successful in your attempts to attain this car. And hopefully it's sat there waiting for you. I'll just show you now that it's fireproof. Of course, this is why we go to the trouble of getting this car from the Hotring event. You can get a Hotring racer by completing the Sunshine Autos asset, but that one won't be fireproof or explosion-proof. So we've seen that it's fireproof, and I'll just show you that it is indeed explosion-proof as well. Next, we're going to get the first of the RC cars. This is the RC Baron, otherwise known as the RC Plane. And to do this, I recommend having at least some space in the El Swanco Casa garage. Now you don't necessarily need to have nothing in there like I have, even though it makes it easier. But you could perhaps store a bike in there, at least something that wouldn't take up that much room. Anyway, if you want to make it as easy as possible, I recommend keeping it clear for now. So what you need to do now is go and get yourself a police car. We're going to do the same trick again that allows us to start 2 missions at the same time. So again, what you need to do is park your police car so that the save icon is adjacent to the driver's side door. Start Vigilante, hold R3 to cancel Vigilante, then get out, and when you're far enough away from the car, release R3. Then press triangle to get in the car, hold R3 and release R3 just as Tommy closes the door. And if you've done it at the exact right time, then you'll be on a vigilante mission and the save icon will still be there, as well as all the other icons on your mini-map. So what we need to do now, just like before, is go and pick up the rampage icon. Again, you can pick up any rampage you like, it doesn't have to be this one here. But to be honest, we're only going a short distance, so almost any rampage icon in the area will give you more than enough time to do what we need to. So once you've picked up the rampage, you can cancel a vigilante at any time now. I do it straight away in this video, you can do it whenever, doesn't really matter. And what we need to do now is head up towards the mall and go in this parking lot here. As you can see, the weather has completely changed even though I just drove up the road. That's tropical climate for you. So here we go. We go up to the top level. If you just follow where I go on this video, you will locate the top fun van. So just park your police car out the way, and then we need to wait for the rampage timer to count down a little bit. Get in the top fun van with about 3 seconds to go. Now when the cutscene loads, the rampage will fail, and that means that the race will actually have started twice. So as soon as you can, get going, go through the checkpoint, take off, and then go and land your RC Baron in the water. This is because we want to fail the mission and we want to do it as fast as possible. Now we'll go back to being in the top fun van, and if you've done it right, one of the planes will still be there. Now what we need to try and do is ride the plane, and we can do this by standing at exactly the back of the tail, then pressing triangle to get on from the back. If you try and get in from the side, the game will crash. That is because Tommy is trying to operate the door, and of course the RC plane doesn't have any doors. but by standing in just the right place. It does take a few tries this. So if you find Tommy going towards the side door, just spam the directional buttons to stop him from actually getting in. And there we go. So if you're lucky enough, you get in and Tommy teleports into the driver's seat of the RC Baron. And that means that we can fly it all the way to our safe house. If you're having trouble getting in it, you can push it back on foot or even using the top fun van, but it's a lot easier to do it this way, and besides that, it's fun to fly the RC plane. What we need to do now, however, is get out while you're still in the air. If you land the plane and then get out, Tommy will again try and operate the door and the game will crash. So just bail out when your plane is pretty close to the ground and you shouldn't take that much damage. Now what we need to do is push it into our garage. Just give it little gentle pushes. If you push it too hard, it'll just flip all over the place and it won't really do you any good. So try and push it gently. And ultimately, you will be able to get it back into the El Swanco Casa garage. Of course you can use other garages, but this one's very close, quite easy to get to, so I recommend this one. Now it's time to obtain the RC Bandit. There are 3 colours of the RC Bandit you can get, and the first one I'm going to show you is the uniquely coloured yellow or gold RC Bandit. So what we need, above all else, for this method is a lot of rocket launcher ammo. So you can get a rocket launcher from up at Phil's place. Obviously, this costs money, so you'll want to have a fair bit of money in the bank at this point. And after you've bought the rocket launcher, it will come back in just a few seconds, so you can walk out, walk back in and just buy it straight away. There is also a way that you can get the rocket launcher without having to pay for it, but it's a lot slower method. So you come up to here, this is reasonably near Sunshine Autos, it's kind of between Sunshine Autos and the docks. It's a motel. It's also quite near the airport as well. So if you want to go and find that, just look on my mini-map. We obviously went there before to test out a couple of proof vehicles. I recommend having around 100 rockets. You probably won't need quite this many, you probably need a minimum of 80, probably maximum of 100. I like to get 100 just because I don't want to get to the point where I've almost got the RC Bandit back to my garage and I run out of rockets. So it's better to be safe than sorry, basically. So once you're happy with the number of rockets you've got, we're just going to do the same mission duping trick once again. And I park the police car next to the save icon at the Links View apartment. We start Vigilante, we hold down the button to cancel Vigilante, we run away from the car and then we release it. Then we press triangle to head towards the police car again and immediately hold R3 so that when we get in we can release R3 and start the Vigilante mission just as the game is trying to save. And again, we go and pick up the same rampage once again. Remember, you can pick up any rampage that you like, so if you find one that's more convenient for you, then go for it. I recommend this one just because it's quite close to where we did the initial part of this glitch. Now what you need to do is come up to the beach, find this dirt track for the RC race, and then there'll be another Top Fun van right here. We need to again wait for the rampage timer to go down, and this time we want to get in the Top Fun van with about 3 seconds left to go. The RC Bandit race will start, the cutscene will automatically end, and then start again. So what we want to do when the race starts, explode our RC Bandit as fast as possible. the mission will fail, and you may get another countdown like this. It doesn't always happen, but either way, just get out of your Top Fun van when you can. And what we need to do is use a rocket launcher to push one of the RC bandits all the way back to the El Swanko Casa garage. Now the reason that we have to use a rocket launcher is because if we try to walk or drive through the RC bandit, unfortunately we'll just go straight through it because it isn't solid, except for when there's an explosion. Now aiming your rockets is quite important as well. What I find works is to aim not right at the RC bandit, but almost just in front of it. Also, you want to get reasonably far away as well, otherwise you could get caught up in the blast and you could of course damage yourself in the process. Also, I'd recommend shooting the RC bandit at the side as well, rather than at the back or at the front. This is because it can quite easily pass through the ground, unfortunately. It happened to me a lot of times when I was trying to do this, particularly with the last one out of 3 that you're going to see me achieve in this walkthrough. And also, because you're pushing a wreck all the way to your garage, blown up cars can be prone to disappearing on this game, just as they were on GTA 3. So try and keep it in your eye line as much as possible. Just make sure it's in view at all times, basically. So we're nearly back to the El Swanko Casa now. One other thing to bear in mind is to try and avoid killing police, or at least having police anywhere near you when you're pushing it with the rocket launcher. Obviously if the cops see you fire a rocket, then they'll come after you and you'll get a wanted level, and it can take a little bit of time to lose even a 1-star wanted level, especially when we don't want to stray too far from the wreck of the RC bandit, because it can disappear, of course. So we're almost back at the garage now. As you can see, I'm down to just 27 rockets, so it's a good job that we got all those. Now I recommend also having some remote grenades to hand. You could use normal grenades as well, but remote grenades are a bit better. What you want to do is throw a grenade so that it lands just in front of the RC bandit, and that can really help you push it just that last little bit into the garage. So hopefully you've been as successful as I've been here, and you've obtained the first RC bandit. There are 2 more left to go. The next one on our hit list is the uniquely coloured blue RC bandit. They're all unique colours, by the way. They only appear in this race. Of course, the RC bandit itself only really appears on RC missions. So, exactly the same method here. I've not bothered really showing you that much of it, to be honest, just cause it's exactly the same. Remember, if you want to achieve more than one RC bandit, you'll need twice as many rockets, of course, which can be pretty expensive. So again, I'm right at my garage now, so I want to use the grenades to push it inside. Of course, you can get these remote grenades from Phil's place as well, and you can get grenades from elsewhere. So if you remember when we were getting the Proof Maverick before, we picked up the grenades from near Cherry Popper's ice cream factory. And on the PC version you can also get them from Washington Beach Police Station as well. So there we go. You'll notice that I actually used a rocket launcher to finish that off. That's because I'd used the grenades to get it almost into the garage, and it was at a point where I could walk away and the garage door would stay open because the RC Bandit was blocking it. So that meant that I could in fact use a rocket launcher again to just finish it off, because I knew that the garage wouldn't close. Okay, so we now have 2 of the 3 RC Bandits that are attainable on this game. The last one we need to achieve is the uniquely coloured red RC Bandit. So here we go. I've skipped out most of the method again. If you do need a more detailed method, I recommend going back, viewing the first one. This red one, for some reason, is the one that gave me the most problems. It just kept falling through the floor and disappearing, even though I was being extra careful when I was shooting it with the rocket launcher. So this one took me quite a few tries. Don't know whether I was just unlucky or whether this is something that you need to watch out for as well. But yeah, I do recommend taking it extra cautious with this red one. And as you might have noticed, there were 4 RC Bandits in the race. And of course, I've only said that we can attain 3 of them. So why can't we attain the last one, which is a sort of black, grey, dark greeny colour? It's actually the one that we use in the mission if you decide to do the race properly. Unfortunately, it's unobtainable because, as you can see, when the garage door closes, it doesn't regenerate. Unfortunately, it will always stay damaged, and therefore you can't store it. Next up is the Bulletproof, Fireproof, Explosionproof PCJ 600. And this can be obtained from the mission Bar Brawl, from the Vassetti estate. So just go ahead, start the mission, and skip the cutscene. Okay, so next thing we need to do is go ahead and grab a car. I've got one sitting here ready for me, and you want to leave those 2 guys behind really. It's not essential, but to be honest, we're not going to need them, so just leave them there. And what you want to do next is head over to where you've parked your Rhino. So go and grab your Rhino, or you can even grab that first before you even start the mission if you like, and then come down here to the yellow marker at Ocean Beach. So I'll just drive down now. I'm driving on the grass just to avoid any cars. Don't really want to blow anything up right now and get a wanted level. It's pretty easy to get a wanted level on this level as it is, so I'm not taking any risks whatsoever really. Okay, so we're pretty much here now. I'm going to park up my Rhino, get out, get a weapon with manual aim. Of course you don't need to have a weapon with manual aim, but I find it easier to shoot these guys from further away. And then I'm going to struggle with the PS2 aiming controls, of course. A lot easier on the PC. Shoot one guy, the other guy will run towards you. Fortunately you can't kill him without actually aiming, I managed to find out. And then we go ahead up into the pink marker.
Protection needs a little more protection.
Okay, so as you can see we have a wanted level now. I don't really want that wanted level, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to wait around for a bit, see if I can shake off that wanted level. Well, actually the police officers ran away somewhere, so you know what, I'm just going to get back in my tank. Turn your gun around 180 degrees so it's facing backwards, and then come up where I am here, going towards the next yellow marker, but we're not going to enter it just yet. So as you can see, we've now got a timer for the mission. So we've got about 4 minutes 20 seconds left to complete the mission or fail it. So what we want to do is park it just around here. So I usually back it up against this lamppost. And I've got a good view of the alleyway from here. So just park it there, get out. As you can see, our wanted level has gone now. So when you get out, it's important to get out and then get back in and then get back out once again. That just stops the tank from potentially despawning. Then what you want to do is get yourself a vantage point and shoot all of these guys except one. Now you need to make sure that 2 of the guys that you do kill are the ones that are standing beside the door. That's because they don't move, and we need one of the guys still alive to be one that's free to come after you. So as you saw there, I picked up the police bribe to get rid of my wanted level, and I've coaxed that last guy to come towards me. So I run back, I get in my tank, I wait for this last guy to come near me, I shoot from behind, I run over the last guy, and then I bail out of the tank. Then 2 bikes appear, and what you'll see happen here is one of the bikes blows up and then it catches fire again and then blows up after the cutscene. Now if this is what happens for you, then unfortunately it's gone wrong and you need to try again. I decided to show you this here because from my experience there are 3 different outcomes for what can actually happen on this mission. So here's the second outcome. So we do the exact same thing. We shoot behind us, we run over the last guy to kill him, we bail out, the bikes appear, we destroy one of them, this time it doesn't come back to life, and lastly, same thing again, the bikes appear, and we destroy both bikes, and we pass the mission. Now, in my experience, either of the last 2 instances can work. So, for example, if we'd have got the bike after it exploded the second time outside the cutscene, if you remember in the first instance that can happen, then if we would have pushed it back to our garage, it would have lost its proofings. In my experience, either of the last 2 methods can work. So where we destroyed one of the bikes and it didn't come back to life, and then the last instance where we destroyed both bikes and got mission passed, both of those methods work. So it's only if you get the first instance that you'll need to restart the mission. Just grab a nearby car, anything will do really, and then push the bike all the way back to your nearest garage. There's not too far to go, just need to negotiate this corner really. It's almost, to be honest, a straight run from where you destroyed it to your nearest garage, which is this one here. Sometimes you can almost get the bike lodged in the front of the car and then just move it slowly, like I am here. If this happens, it's pretty good. Makes moving it quite easy. And then when you're at your garage, push the bike inside and then reverse back. And hopefully you'll have the fully proofed bike right there at your garage. So go ahead and save the game, and I'm just going to check out its proofings now. So let's test that it's bulletproof first of all. There we go, just give it a couple of rounds. It's taken no damage. Let's check that it's explosion-proof now. Unfortunately, I didn't have a rocket launcher on me at the time, so I just used the grenades instead. Just try one more for good measure. So there we go, we throw it right at the bike, explode the grenade, and of course it takes no damage. And we'll just go over to the western island, grab ourselves a flamethrower, and we'll do the check to see that it is fireproof as well. Okay, so we've pretty much finished the walkthrough now, but there are a couple of extras to show you. The first one is making any black car from the mission The Party. It's one of the first missions on the game, and it gives us the chance to obtain pretty much any vehicle in black. So what we want to do here is just do the mission duping glitch like we've done loads of times before now. So you won't need me to explain it again. So I've duped the mission. We're on Vigilante and Rampage at the same time now, so I'm going to go ahead and cancel the Vigilante mission. So now we're just on a Rampage, but the game doesn't think we're on a mission. So at this point you want to find the car that you want to make black. So here, just to show you, I've chosen a BF Injection. Just because it's a car that you can't usually get in black. So for example, there's no way to obtain one from another mission, for example. Although you can get one with the black cars cheat, of course. So then we come down to the lawyer's office. We park up nearby. And we're ready to go ahead and start the mission, The Party. You want to walk into the pink marker with about 7 seconds left on your Rampage timer. And of course the timer will run out during the cutscene. And to be honest, you do get some pretty funny effects when you do this duping business. So the Rampage will fail, cutscene will skip automatically. Then you'll pick up another instance of the party straight away, and as you can see, all the characters and the props have been duplicated. There's one Ken that's moving really slow, and there's another one that's moving really fast in front. So skip that. If you leave it on, it may crash. I haven't explored that fully, but it looks like something that the game wasn't really intended to do, of course, so could result in the game freezing. So now what you want to do is go over here and step in the pink marker to get a change of clothes. Of course, 2 bikes will now appear with 2 guys, and they'll both walk off. Of course, we don't want to take one of those, unless you want a black freeway, of course, which you can do. For this example, I'm just going to get the black BF Injection, but of course you can do this with any car you can get your hands on. So just go ahead, park it up in the pink marker, and then the next cutscene will start. It's important to skip this cutscene quite quickly, because if you leave this on too long, it will crash. It will definitely crash. So when it loads up, just skip it straight away, and then you're going to get another instance of this cutscene, of course, because we've got 2 missions going at the same time. So when the next cutscene loads, which is of course exactly the same cutscene, we just need to skip that quickly as well. Okay, so hopefully your game hasn't frozen yet. And now, after we've skipped the cutscene, we're going to appear back outside the pier where we parked our BF Injection. For some reason, another BF Injection will have spawned next to the other one that you came here with, and it will be totally black. So of course we've got the issue now, we've got 2 Mercedeses. There's a real Mercedes and a fake Mercedes, what they're called as in the speedrunning universe. So you know which one the real one is, because when she gets in the car with you, she'll say some dialogue. If you've picked up the fake Mercedes, then when she gets in the car with you, she won't say anything, so that's a quick way to tell. If you kill the fake Mercedes, you won't fail the mission, which we need to do to keep the car, of course, but you can pass the mission as well if you like. We just need to kill the real Mercedes to fail the mission. You can pass the mission, as I said, but if you want to get multiple black cars at this point, then remember to fail the mission, and you can just do it as many times as you like. And there we go. And last of all, this is the all-proof white Admiral, and it's a nice place to finish, to be honest, because we've come full circle. We're back at the very beginning of the game once again, obtaining a car almost the same as the first one we achieved on this walkthrough. And the reason I placed it here is because it's only available with cheats. So what you want to do is, when Ken Rosenberg runs out, enter the blow up all cars cheat, and if you've done it at the right time, when Ken is running past the building right near the door, hopefully the Admiral will have blown up and you'll be stood right beside it. Okay, next thing you want to do is spawn a Rhino. Again, I've left this till last because it's not part of the actual walkthrough, because the only way you can get it is with cheats. So start a vigilante mission, come over here, get to a safe spot, do the blow up all cars cheat again, and you will pass the first vigilante mission. So then what I'm going to do is spawn a Rhino and just repeat this process over and over again until I have enough money to purchase a safe house. So again, spawned a Rhino, we're still on vigilante here. I'm going to enter the blow up all cars cheat, which of course includes the enemy that you're supposed to chase after and kill. He'll be spawned on the map. So doing the blow up all cars cheat destroys his vehicle as well. So here we go, spawn another Rhino. We're on vigilante mission level 3 now. Park it somewhere out of the way. Try and keep the wreck of the Admiral in sight at all times, or at least as best as you can. Of course, wrecks can disappear if you leave them out of sight for too long. So I'm just going to come to the other side of the alleyway here, just to give myself a bit more space. As you can see, I've repeated this process a whole load of times now. And I've earned myself $7,000, which is more than enough to buy a safe house. So the last thing that you need to do when you get enough money to buy a safe house is spawn one last Rhino to push the Admiral all the way back to a garage.
This is the way it's gotta be. I know you knew not to mess with me.
So here we go. We just push the Admiral around the corner. And we go all the way up, past the Malibu Club, to our final destination, which is going to be the Lynx View apartment. Of course, you can take it to any garage, but I would recommend this one because it's by far the easiest for what we want to do. And that will be fully explained when we actually reach our safe house, but for now, just concentrate on pushing the Admiral all the way back up here. Fingers crossed that it won't disappear for you. It didn't actually disappear for me. As difficult as this method looks, I only tried it I think 3 times before I was successful, so hopefully you'll be just as successful as I was. So here we go, we're pretty much at the Lynx View apartment now. Just having trouble with some pedestrians and a bit of traffic getting in the way there. What we want to do is push the Admiral over the purchase property icon. So you see that little green and white icon there? You know, you're familiar with it now, just as I am. Of course, you walk in that icon, you press L1 to buy the property, and obviously you get access to the garage then. So we're just pushing it using the Rhino, and then we'll get out on foot, do the last little bit on foot. So it's right in that icon now. We jump on top of the car, and then we press L1 to purchase the Lynx View apartment for $6,000. Of course, this now gives us access to the garage. Hopefully, your Admiral won't have disappeared. It should still be there. So what we need to do, last of all, is just push our Admiral back inside the garage. Now it can be a little bit tricky just to sort of move it out of what is now the save game icon. Of course it was the property icon before. So our Admiral is free now, and what I'm actually going to do is turn it around so that it's facing forwards towards the garage. What I'm going to try and do is push it in the garage and not let the car, the wreck that is, touch either side of the garage, because when this happens, apparently there's a higher chance of it disappearing. It might not, but because we've done all this work, we don't want to risk losing it at the very final point. So I'm just taking a bit of extra time to make sure that I'm able to push it in as I want to. Once you're happy with the position, creep forward, wait for the garage to open, push the Admiral in, the door will close, you can just reverse, get back out of your Rhino, and hopefully your Admiral will be in there. Of course mine was in at a very weird angle there. The garage shut because it didn't want to let me store 2 cars in there, so I've just moved it in there. Of course I'm going to take it back out again just to show you that it is indeed damage-proof for starters. Of course this is the same white Admiral that we got at the beginning of this walkthrough, the difference being that this one is all proof when the other one was just a special colour. But of course I didn't include it in the main walkthrough because it's only available with cheats. So we'll just smash it up a little bit more, well we'll try to anyway, to show you that it is damage proof. So we'll just pull out a weapon next, show you that it is bulletproof. Of course you can still pop the tyres, unfortunately. And it is fireproof as well. And lastly, I'll just show you that it is explosion proof. So here we go, we have some grenades now. Just throw one next to the Admiral, and okay, that actually fell through the floor. Brilliant. That one did a little bit as well. Okay, they're all falling through the floor, this is really weird. So I think just trying to remember what I did at this point. Yeah, I threw one on top of the bonnet. There we go. So there we go. That is pretty much, in fact it is, the end of the walkthrough. So thank you for watching. If you've stuck with it through the full 3 hours, I hope you didn't sit through it all in one sitting. I certainly didn't record it all in one sitting, that's for sure, especially the commentary. So thanks again for watching. Please remember to check out my GTA 3 secret car walkthrough as well.